Hi everyone, thanks for joining us again for round 2 of the Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series. Last week was a lot of fun and very competitive. Tonight we get set for 3 brand new tracks and 3 huge races. Joining me in the studio tonight, good evening once again to Hysterics.
G'day.
And from Erebus Penrite Racing, it's Will Brown. How you going, Will?
Good, yourself?
He was busy on the weekend at the Gold Coast 600. Just quickly, how'd you go over there?
Yeah, it wasn't ideal. Actually crashed on Saturday and rained out on Sunday, so I've had better weekends, but that's all right.
I can guarantee neither of those two things are going to happen to you in here tonight, I hope. 3 new tracks tonight, Hysterics. We're off to Europe tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a good leg, I think. I'm pretty excited to get amongst it because we had a bit of a race before and you guys kind of showed me why you're so famous in this industry, I guess, and I kind of lagged behind a little bit.
You went all right, actually, Will.
Yeah,
Not
I feel
too
like
bad.
the guys are going to show us tonight how much better they are than us. But yeah, smoked the rears off and locked up everywhere. But no, it was a bit of fun, definitely.
Last week, our first crack at esports with the Supercars esports series, and it went pretty good. And we definitely had 3 different races. The best for me was the last one of the night, which was Bathurst. And we sort of saw some surprises, I think.
Because we saw over, I think, 5,000 competitors come through, set that qualifying lap on Bathurst. We then got to 32. We then nailed down again to 8. And this is pretty straightforward. This is exactly how it happened.
Kicking off the night with race 1 at Laguna Seca, it was Maddie Bink who was on the pace from the very start. It was tight down there at the first corner. He got a really good start. Started back in 5th, moved through on the inside at the first corner, made his intentions clear, carved through to run 2nd behind Andrew Dyson in the early stages of the race. And then that really good battle between him and Semper. They swapped the lead for a few corners, and in the end, it was Mad Racer 38 who went on to comfortably win the first ever race in the 2018 Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series. Had to work seriously hard though on that opening lap. The 2 of them swapping the lead probably 3 or 4 times in the run up to the first corner. But when they crossed the finish line, he had a comfortable 2 to 3 second lead, and that would set the grid for race number 2. Off to Spa in Belgium, such an iconic circuit, and it was reverse grid. So it was Dyson starting at the back of the field, and he stormed through to take a really dominant win. It was tight down there at La Source for the first lap. City Azul led the field down towards Eau Rouge. But after the pit stops were complete, it was Semper with a massive lead. He celebrated in style all the way to the checkered flag. Race number 2 going the way of Andrew Dyson. Comfortable lead in the end over the chasing pack. Race 3 and a familiar place indeed. This is the track where all 8 of our cars had to qualify in the lead up to the Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series. Starting from pole, courtesy of a race win, and second in race 2 was Maddie Bink, and he was absolutely on the pace right from the beginning. He had to be pushed at the last lap. Adrian Yalpi, Ultimate Age 05, pushed him all the way to the checkered flag. Very close in the run down the hill, but 2 wins from 3 races and the championship lead going the way of Maddie Bink, Mad Racer 38. It was almost the perfect night for Maddie Bink, Mad Racer 38. 2 firsts and a second, and left him with 56 points and a pretty handy buffer back to Semper and the chasing pack. The big surprises here, Hysterics were down in 4th spot. Jacob Harvey, we thought he'd be a little bit higher.
We thought he'd be first or at least second, neck and neck with Ultimate Age 05, but in the end it was Mad Racer who stepped up. I mean, that is a huge point difference to start off week number 1, or round 1, I should say. I think Mad Racer caught us a bit by surprise.
Yeah, 20 points for a race win in case you're wondering. But Will, the thing there for me, race 3 of 18, long way to go. How do you put an entire season together?
Yeah, it is a long championship, and as we know, you've got to finish consistently. That's how you win championships. So I think you'll probably find that whoever finishes 3rd every single race will win it. So no, consistency will be a big thing.
We saw a bit of a trend in the 3 races last week that there were 4 names that pretty much stuck out. Do you think we'll see those same 4 names, the top 4 in that championship just then?
Oh, you'd have to think so. After what we saw in week 1, we saw really powerful drivers there, and I think aggressive drivers didn't kind of come into the mix. On a racetrack, you'll see those drivers who just try to take the turn full on, and I think Mad Racer at one point was kind of there. Semper as well should join him, I think.
Ultimate Age 05 picked up 3 podiums from the 3 races. I'm following the comments on the Facebook page right now as they're flowing in. Everyone's keen to see some action, so let's show you which tracks we're at tonight. 3 big circuits headed your way. Like I said, it's the European leg. And Will, how about this place? Silverstone, lots of history here.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool track, that's for sure. As you were saying this morning, what's the history behind it?
It used to be a World War II airfield, built in 1943, and then by 47 it was a racetrack.
Yeah, I never knew that. Never knew it.
Hosted the first ever Grand Prix, Formula One official Grand Prix race in 1950. Had a bit of a redevelopment in 2011, and that's the circuit that we're racing on tonight, which is the Grand Prix circuit. So very much what they race Formula One, World Endurance Championship, even MotoGP there.
But it's a big one. Like, we're only going through 9 laps, where in other tracks tonight we're going through 10 and 10. And I think qualifying on this one as well.
Yes.
This is probably going easy to hard tonight, considering what we finish on.
So we go from there in Silverstone across to Germany. It's the Hockenheim Ring, another famous Formula One circuit. A couple less turns. This one's 16 turns, 4.5 Ks, famous for obviously Formula One and DTM, but there's some pretty good passing opportunities here. Yeah,
definitely. You've got a few long straights, but at the end of them, you've got you know, a few hairpins and that. So that's really good passing opportunities to get down the inside, and a few tight ones up the back as well. So you see a lot of passing around here, I think.
Very cool track, built in the German Black Forest. It used to actually span for quite a few more kilometres. It was pretty much just flat out in a Formula One car. But they've sort of shrunk it up a little bit, but that hairpin's definitely the best passing opportunity of the track. That's 2. That'll be reverse grid tonight, by the way. This one, though, a Formula One test track, and it's been around since the early 90s, Catalunya.
This feels like the expert one if before we're looking at the intermediate track to lead you onto the final race of tonight. This will be bloody. Catalunya. Now, we played it, we said to the audience before, we had a couple of goes. This is the one I think I struggled with the most. This is the one where we could see someone like Mad Racer or Semper fall out early, and then maybe Haro 05, you know, get that top place like he thinks he deserves.
I don't want to rub it in, but Hysterics was very close to getting timed out.
Well, 30 seconds or so. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. And I know these guys aren't going to struggle as much tonight. I think, if anything, it gave us more appreciation to what these guys go through with, you know, the limited traction control. There's actually none, and how proficient you have to be to finish this in first position. Yeah, so that's how it's going to work tonight. Qualifying sets the grid for race 1, reverse grid race 2, and then race 3 is a combination of the points from the first 2 races. Something similar to what you have in Super 2, I guess. Yeah, it is fairly similar. We don't have a reverse grid. It'd be a bit too hectic. Yep. It's already crazy enough as it is. We're crashing into each other all the time. But no, it should be pretty cool to watch reverse grid, see who can move their way through and make a few good passes. Qualifying not too far away. We'll take you to Silverstone, have a bit of a look, and maybe get Will to talk us through what is a historic circuit. This is the brand new run onto the front straight, new pit complex on the right-hand side. Yes, every race does have pit stops. It's only a short run to turn 1. Yeah, definitely only a short run to turn 1, like you said, but it's a fast couple of corners. Turn 1, 2 is very fast. You won't see much. You might see a bit of side-by-side action, but not much passing. We're coming down into turn 3, which is a really good passing opportunity. You know, it's tight, it's cutting back, but people can hold you on the outside into 4. 4 is not as much of a passing opportunity. But then from there, you've got, you know, turn 5. It's flowing, but as we saw earlier, you can burn the tyres off it here and slide it around here real easy. So that'll be a good one to watch. And from there, you're going to want to get a really good run up into turn 6 because it's long. Yeah, there's 2 really long straights. This is the first of them, the Wellington Straight, the run up to Brooklands. Bit of a chance to maybe make some moves there, but Luffield, which is the long right-hander straight off the back of it, should be pretty racy through here in the opening lap. Yeah, definitely. As you see, it's, you know, it's a bit tighter 7, but you've got 2 flowing corners, 8 and 9, where you're going to want to keep your speed. So your exit out of 7 is going to help your whole run down to turn 9. I love it. On the comments, someone asking, is there any sign of rain? I can confirm that no. After what we saw on Sunday night, we've definitely got the weather set to sunny. Yeah, that's right. As you can see, this is the old front straight. The motorcycle racing still uses that as their front straight. Long, very fast opening corner on that circuit, which is Cops. And then this run up to the big chicane, which is pretty cool. Yeah, definitely. This is a pretty cool corner. I love my S-bends. They're really good fun, but you've got to set yourself up well. So you're going to come into 10, 11, but 12 and 13 are really going to be the main ones you look at, because from 13 right up to 15, that's a really long run and definitely a big passing opportunity. So, yeah, this is exactly where we're talking about, getting a good exit through here, and it's so hard. No traction control. All those driver aids are off, so laying the power down up the hanger straight will be important. Fastest part of the track approaching the braking area up here at Stowe, which is turn 15. And a difficult one because it's sort of off camber and really easy to run wide here. Yeah, definitely. Camber's a big thing on tracks, and like you say, keeping it in narrow to keep the camber, and then flowing it out that you don't, you know, lose the rear on exit will be a big thing. Pit entrance over to the right-hand side into the last couple of corners. This is Vale, turn 16. Heavy braking opportunity. Really good spot to make some moves. We see that obviously in Formula 1. And then the double right-hander to finish off the lap.
should be, roughly, we're guessing somewhere around 2 minute 10 to 15 lap times. You busted out a 2:25.
Yeah, I think they'll do a lot better than that. I'm nervous to see how much better.
You're about 7 seconds quicker than I was.
And look, let's not go to me. Right? I think I
going to stop ripping on hysterics tonight.
or something. So, yeah, I meant to be the gamer, but oh well, close enough.
All right, let's get into qualifying action. A reminder, it's set up as a 4-lap race, and we take the quickest lap times to set the grid. So let's get into it. They've already had a chance to get out there on their out lap.
Yep.
We'll try and set the grid for tonight. Amazingly, the winner of race 1 last week, guys, came from 5th on the grid, so it's not all that important qualifying if we've learned anything from last week.
I think as well, we're going to be sitting here making some guesses as to who's making that fastest lap, but eyes should be on Mad Racer here as well. TD Azul didn't get the best start last week, and I think finished in that 8th position, so we're definitely looking for him to step up the mark in round 2 of this week and kind of put himself on the scoreboard.
All right, Mad Racer 38, he is the man who picked it up last week from Newborough, which is east of Melbourne. Trying to get that speed going up right now.
Great article of him on the Supercars website as well, if anyone hasn't checked that one out. Mad Racer, actually a racing enthusiast himself, so he's got the best of both worlds coming through. He's good on the track on the game, and he's good on the track in what was he driving? What were we
I think
talking
it's
about?
the XL Championship,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
He's trying to break into the Hyundai XL Championship in real life. So
Yeah.
pretty cool that you can sort of make this move up from gaming and into the real deal. This guy had a bit of a tough week last week. TDI Azuls, and we think it's because he was playing in an actual sim, which made life a bit hard for him.
So I think we discovered last week that it was a cold tyres.
You get cold tyres.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's props out there because of what we just went through on a controller. I'd only imagine that a sim, I mean, it feels like it'd be a little bit harder.
Yeah, well, with none of the aids on, including traction control and ABS off, it would
I'd
be
rather
almost
a sim
impossible.
personally,
Yeah.
but definitely it's a huge disadvantage having cold tyres. I think last week you saw him fall back very quickly because on the first lap, but you know, we'd find the same thing in real life. We had cold tyres compared to everyone.
Another name we didn't really talk about much last week was towards the back of the pack. That was Holden 96.
Yeah, qualified 7th, finished 4th in race 2. So nearly got himself up onto the podium. And already we're seeing some pretty quick lap times here. G209 at the front of the field. 2:11 for Mad Racer. So actually, look at that. Number 1 last week is 8th at the moment on the first qualifying lap.
Oh, okay. Not the best start there.
Bit of time to figure that out. Here is a guy that we're expecting to see pretty quick tonight.
Just making me feel a little bit bad, to be quite honest. 2:09.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm already 16 seconds off the time.
but, I mean, Will, it's not bad. Like, you know, put yourself in my shoes for a second. I'm a whole minute behind. Yeah, but like you said, it was actually Mr. Bucket there who got the quickest lap, and another person we weren't really talking about, but Haro 05 today can be his day.
Well, the good news is for these guys, they've had all week to practice now. They knew the 3 tracks that they were going to go into. It wasn't that there was a chance of them not making the cut, so they were always going to be probably spending a few hours on the game this week.
This is what we talked about this last week, Chad and I, and with Richie here as well. We talked about them sitting down and, you know, practicing Bathurst, because that's how they got in. It's the top 8, you know, qualifying laps. That was what we wanted to see, and that's how they made it into the top 8 originally. So now they get the chance to practice, and 3 new tracks on the board.
Yeah, definitely. Like we were talking before, practice would be a massive thing in this game. Obviously, like we were saying, like for us in supercars, we can't practice a whole lot, but if we were able to, I'd be out there every single day. So if I had this opportunity to jump on and play every day to try and make the top 8, I'd be on it 10 or 12 hours a day.
Do you get out in the sim much?
I do a little bit. We have one at Erebus actually that we get down there a fair bit, but you know, probably not as much as I'd like to. But yeah, it's a pretty good tool to practice new tracks.
Well, hopefully someone can hook you up with an Xbox after this.
Yeah.
And you can practice another way.
A few people on the comments section right now noting that they're using a lot of curb, and that's something that you would actually be doing in real life, particularly because they're essentially Formula 1 curbs. So in a supercar, you could monster those things.
Yeah, definitely. They're looking pretty flat, and hopefully they're using track limits, but we'll wait and see.
I think it's pretty loose in the old track limits, but at least it's definitely the same for everyone. Back to Mad Racer 38. He is our championship leader. He's improved to a 2:07, which is pretty good. But look at this, 2:07.5 for XE Mr. Bucket. Still the quickest.
I'll have to see if they
Got
hold
2:06 by Sempra.
It's not too bad. One more lap remaining. Remember, it is that quickest lap time, so it's not a cumulative here to start us off. But for that qualifying, they will be coming back on. for another 9-lap series.
It can be a little bit confusing when you see the results at the end of this session because it's essentially broken into the race order, but what you need to look for is the fastest lap. So we'll be looking for that, and at the moment it's XC Mr. Bucket, and that is a huge effort. He was actually pretty handy in qualifying at the opening round, qualified third. It was his race pace from there, because we didn't see him running in the top 3. Mark Pretty from Adelaide.
Yep, finishing 6th on the scoreboard there with 20 points, so he's a little bit behind of the pack, but remember, there was only 1 week, can make the climb up. I mean, we've got, what, 18 races, I believe.
Yep.
And that'll make due of the championship, so definitely time to catch back up, and after only 1 week, 20 is not too bad there.
And we're already dipping into the 206s as well. So last lap, last chance to get a qualifying lap in. Thanks for joining us. If you've just joined our Facebook live stream, we're streaming in about 5 or 6 different spots tonight across all kinds of different apps. So find out how you want to follow the action. We've got 3 big races headed your way tonight. And this, at the moment, is qualifying. And we have dipped into the 206s. Very close between Haro 5. Look at that, 0.003 of a second separating him from Semper at the moment.
And at the moment, just been told that Ultimate Age 05 actually has the fastest qualifying lap there, so it'll be up to this last lap to see if anyone can take over. Otherwise, the grid should be set out with Ultimate Age 05 in the lead. It'll be big there for the first track. Got to get out of saying map and getting there. But
people in the comment section asking, where can I buy this game? Pretty simple. The answer sits on that bonnet right now. Get out to Harvey Norman. It's Forza Motorsport 7. Pick up an Xbox One, and you can be playing Forza any night you want, particularly tomorrow night, because we're back into the Cup Series, which is open still for registration and open to anyone who wants to be a part of it if you're not quite quick enough to make the top 8.
That's right. There's about $150 of a Harvey Norman gift card there if you manage to win it out as well. So a good little bonus if you didn't quite make that top 30. I think it was 36 in the end, excuse me. So show us your stuff every single week. Make sure you got to register there, because if you do not register for 1 week, it will not continuously sign you up.
Still very, very close at the front, and 206.6 is the quickest that I've seen from anyone so far. We'll wait to confirm that at the end of the session. Dying stage of the qualifying. 3 races tonight. The first is Silverstone, the second is Hockenheim, the third is Catalonia, so it's the European leg. Next week, it's the first of our America's legs, so the 3 tracks will be Long Beach, which is cool, so our first street circuit, which will be totally different for our series. Lime Rock Park and the short circuit of Watkins Glen, which will be pretty cool because it's pretty much a NASCAR track.
But in terms of this week, I have a question, Will. What track fears you the most? Put yourself in their shoes. Which one? Because I rated it from easy to intermediate to expert, even though on all of them I spun out at least. Oh, hang on,
like
speaking of that.
There's the early throttle from Semper. It's going to cost him some time, but props for the mad drift coming out of the club. That was pretty sweet.
That's quite ironic.
So, Will, out of
I think
those 3?
Barcelona's going to be probably the toughest one this week. We saw that when we were out there.
That's because that's the track that I just beat Will on, if anyone was wondering.
Yeah, you got me in the pit stops.
2.1 seconds, in case anyone was paying attention.
No, it's going to be a tough one. You know, pit entry is on the right there, but you know, it's pretty tight everywhere, really. The last couple of sections is going to be where, you know, people find a gap on other people. Okay,
well, we'll keep an eye out. We'll get there eventually, but I guess the other 2 races will give us an instinct of who we'll be looking at as we finally finishing the qualifying lap, and we'll see who comes in first. I believe it was Ultimate Age 05, and we're looking at Haro 05 actually coming through as one of the stronger laps, so we'll find out who takes the cake.
Yeah, the 206s were pretty much the quickest lap times that we saw. So a 4-lap qualifying session, and very shortly we'll be setting up the first of those 3 races. Remember, it obviously goes off the qualifying order for that. There'll be pit stops involved. Race 2 tonight will be reverse grid from their finishing positions at Silverstone, and race 3 at Catalonia will be a combination of points. Checking out how it's finished, 206.654. That is a very, very quick lap. It's got, though, next to it, potentially, a track limits warning.
So
that'll be an interesting one to figure out. But Semper, 206.654.
He came in at stylish at least. You know, you got to give him that much. But
206.87, the second quickest they're looking. Oh, sorry, down the bottom, 206.79 as well for Haro 5. So we saw 3 guys get into the 206s, which puts them about 19 seconds quicker than us, with no driver aids on at all. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. I said before, I reckon you'll see him to the 2 minutes to 2 minutes 10, but pretty close between the top 3 guys. Like, not even 2 tenths between. Oh, 2 tenths just between it. So that's really good to see.
What would we be looking at if we were looking at this on a real-life racetrack, if we were there in Silverstone?
Well, with supercars, I mean, that's a pretty long circuit. I mean, supercars, like you said, anything over 2 minutes, you're going to have a pretty big spread, but typically a second covering the field?
Yeah, Bathurst probably, second covering the whole field at Bathurst.
Okay.
So, yeah, pretty tight, really.
some of the circuits that we go to, we can have 26 cars entered and about 6 to 7 tenths on a really, really close day. I've seen that a couple
especially
times.
Tasmania and
Yep.
stuff like that. You
Tassie,
see,
Pukekohe.
you know, 1 or 2 tenths can boost you from about 17th up to about, you know, 5th.
So just to give you a bit of an idea, that when you compare that to that, that's roughly about the same sort of area of distance between a lot of them. So, and that'll translate differently when you get into a race pace as well, because some guys, as we've seen in this series, are better at qualifying than they are at racing. So that gives you a bit of an idea as to how it's going to go. Which one are you, mate? Are you better qualifier, better racer?
I'm not sure. I'm thinking racing lately. I haven't been qualifying real well, so we'll go with racing.
I think we've got a bit of action to check out here from Semper, who is just out on track. He is currently sitting in the top few spots in this championship, and this is... Yep. Now, what's happening here? I think he knows that the lap's probably gone at that point.
I think so.
Rear tie temp.
See, the thing is, I think he was doing it deliberately. That wasn't. We were doing that by mistake.
The problem was we were genuinely trying earlier, and that's what was happening. Because without the aids, particularly if you're on the hand control, mega difficult to apply
I feel
the throttle.
guilty for laughing because I'm like, oh, I just did that every lap anyway. It's like...
I normally spun out though after. I didn't hold it.
To be able to control it's one thing. And there are a few spots on this circuit where that's going to be a problem because it's all those long loading corners like that one where you come onto the front straight, particularly at Luffield and getting onto Woodcote as well. So you're trying to lay the power down, 630 odd horsepower, right finger, not too easy. Bit easy when you maybe got a throttle pedal maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that gives you a bit of an idea as to...
Good question, though,
Yeah, where we're headed tonight. We've got 8 entries, we've got 3 races, and we're not too far away, hopefully, from getting into the first of those races. I want to tell everyone about the Cup Series again. We were just talking about it a moment ago. Great way to get into esports if you're sort of just a casual onlooker. We had a few guys have a crack at it last Wednesday night.
I mean, how we played, I keep lumping you guys in just to make myself feel better, but how we played, you know, we could enter it, we could look to kind of make a name for ourselves. If you wanted to build yourself up in esports, this is the way to do it. You start from amateur, move on to competitive level, and then you move into the top 8 like these guys are doing. I mean, they became the top 8 because they entered competitions, they continued to play. It's like anything. It's like if you want to get into the Bathurst 1000, you don't just leap into the Bathurst 1000, you know. You got to work your way up.
Yeah, definitely. I don't even think I'll enter the Cup Series. I think I might do a few more test days yet.
So just to refresh, if you haven't had a chance to join this yet, it's called the Cup Series. We've got both the E-Series and the Cup Series. So if you're not quite quick enough to qualify for the top 8, you can enter into the Cup Series. And tomorrow night is round number 2. There's some pretty cool cash prizes up for grabs and some gift vouchers to Harvey Norman, our very loyal sponsors. So check it out tomorrow night. If you haven't got it, it's Forza Motorsport 7 on the Xbox One. Now, Will, let's chat about your season so far. You've been able to race in Super 2. You've had up and down results there, but you had your first ever drive in the main Supercars Championship, the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship, and 3 rounds. How'd you go?
Yeah, it was pretty cool actually heading to Sandown. My first ever enduro campaign with Erebus Motorsport, and as we know, they're a fun team. We see that all the time with Dave Reynolds and that. But was able to get to Sandown and actually top one of the practice sessions. So that was really cool. And the co-drivers went up to the press conference. We had Lownsy there and that. Didn't know what I was doing there. Just how to get here. But no, it was really cool. And Sandown, we qualified 6th. Handed the car over in 5th, and Anton just made a bit of a mistake going through turn 2, which broke the front splitter. So we had a bit of vibration from there on, which we dropped back to, I think, 12th. But the car pace was mega, and, you know, we were hoping to get a top 10 there. But, you know, overall, an awesome weekend. Just
while we're queuing up the first race tonight at Silverstone, why don't we check out some of Will's highlights from his opening season in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. And how about this battle down in Bathurst? We were at this track last week. And this is about as hairy as it gets. This is the first time I've seen this. I've wanted to see it. I actually waved to him after this. But this is Earl Bamber actually pushing me past. I think I got the fastest top speed down the straight that day. Did you hit 300 nearly? Oh, I'm not sure, but he did a really good job of it. Like you don't normally see people push like that. And I didn't even hardly feel him touch me, so it was pretty cool.
That's insane.
Yeah, well, and you know there that you're roughing it with some of the best. You're behind a Penske car and in front of a Red Bull car. You must have been pinching yourself. Yeah, no, I was stuck in between them both. But no, it was just awesome. Like the experience driving at Bathurst is pretty cool. And for something like that to happen, I don't think you'd see many cars push each other down the straight there. Now check this out. You know he's made it when you meet this guy. We had a special guest joining us at Bathurst, and Will had a chance to meet him. Only the PM, ScoMo, down in the pits. He's got your hat on and everything, mate. I didn't even know who he was at the start. He sat next to me, and I was like, you know, who's this guy?
He hasn't been in office for very long.
Give him a few tips.
Yeah, I knew he was pretty important after, you know, you see his bodyguard standing over there and all that. But no, I had a chat to him, worked out who he was. But no, it was pretty cool. What did you talk about? was just about the racing, really.
Yeah.
Talked about everything. I was actually, you know, at the end hopping up to go get in the car, and he's still keen for a chat. So it was really cool. Actually, a really nice guy.
It's a good thing he wasn't there at the Gold Coast, because this was not a highlight, but maybe a low
definitely
light.
not.
We'll make you sort of relive this moment here, because it's not what you like to see. Bang, Will, you nearly took out that tram.
Yeah, at this point here, I was watching thinking this is going to be a big one. Someone's going to hit me right in the driver's door, and luckily Steve Owen committed to going left there. A bit more damage, and the car was obviously really damaged, so bad luck for the team, and big mistake for myself. But, you know, you just got to press on, get back up on the horse and have another go.
Nearly every single driver that has talked about that crash has said the same thing, that it's so easy to do.
Yeah, it's easy. It bit me hard. A lot of people actually get a bit crossed up in the first phase, hit the tyre wall, it's not as bad, but I just misjudged the left and got the actual concrete wall, just spat me straight into the outside.
How do you recover from something like that? For me, who doesn't, you know, really has never put himself in this position, how do you recover towards your next race?
Yeah, definitely. Some people are better than others, but you know, I was a little bit disappointed after it because it's not my championship. I'm out there to do the best job I can for Anton De Pasquale, and I'd moved up 4 or 5 spots, which was a little bit disappointing that, you know, that I did crash. But it's one of those tracks. I only got 5 laps before heading into the main race. We had issues Friday, so I'd never driven there in a supercar, so really tough. But you know, it was just one of those things that you misjudge it, and really easy to do. But you just go back out there. You know what you got to do. It's not going to happen every run, so just get back into
Good
it.
mentality, yeah.
There was a really nice moment. One of the really well-known guys in our sport, Chaz Mostert, who's a former Bathurst 1000 winner, he came down to have a bit of a chat to you, pat you on the back. And one of the questions on the comments here on Facebook Live right now on Supercars is, what did he say to you?
He actually just came in and said, mate, we've all done it before, chin up champ, get back on with it. You know, you're doing a great job all season. So it's actually, like you said, it's really cool for someone to come down and do that, because I idolise someone like Chaz. You know, he's done amazing things. He's won the Bathurst 1000, and he's just a really good guy. So for someone to come down like that, say we've all done it before and that, you know, it's a great thing, makes you feel a bit better. So, no, it was really good of him.
All right, from the Gold Coast in Queensland to Silverstone in Northamptonshire. It's a bit of a world away, but that's where we're going to go racing tonight, race 4 on our Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series. Another look at the circuit. This is where we are. We are not too far away from race 4. There's the start line. The key to a good start in a supercar, Will?
Oh, well, for us, it's a little bit different. You got the line locker. I'm not sure if they've got that in this, but line locker, you know, a lot of people hold different percentages, but you really got to ride the clutch out. That's the biggest thing. They've got so much power, you ride the clutch. You don't want too much wheel spin, but you don't want to bog it down either. So there's a fine line there.
Now, let's check out the grid and how they're going to start for the first of the 3 races tonight. And a reminder, if you've just joined us, it's set from the qualifying times earlier tonight. And once again, Semper is our quickest driver in qualifying, back-to-back pole awards.
I feel like you gave it to him because of that final lap.
It was between that or the beard. I think he deserved that. You got to love Haro 5. He's a mad Erebus fan. He's got the Erebus cap on.
I saw that before. That's pretty cool. Got the Erebus hat.
He won our initial series that happened at Bathurst last year, where we flew in 8 competition winners to have a crack on the Sims. Got Holden 96 starting out of P3. Watch out for Ultimate Age 05. He got a treble of podiums at the first round. All the way down to Mad Racer 38, coming out of 6th. Qualifying maybe not his strong suit. He qualified 5th at round 1.
Yeah, but remember, it is a reverse grid as we get to the second race, and I'm not going to get us there just yet, but for Mad Racer has a chance to move up in the pack. And this is what we saw last week, is that the grid didn't matter as much. TDI Azul was pretty much the only one affected by this grid, so I think there's opportunity to kind of take advantage, at least for Haro 05 starting in 2nd. Could be something that boosts him up for today. Yeah, if you go back to Laguna Seca last week, Mad Racer 38 started 5th, and he was 2nd by the first turn, and then he had that amazing battle for the lead with the guys at the front. So I think maybe starting off the 3rd row, we might be expecting him to jump up a few spots. It's not a huge run down to the first corner, though. Do you think that might affect that sort of jump that he gets?
Yeah, definitely a longer run. If you get a good start, you know, you can pass a lot more cars, but 8 people, you know, generally if we start in the top 8 in supercars, you think you've got a chance of winning. So I think anyone from, you know, from the back of the field here has the opportunity of winning. You know, it's a long track, few laps, so I wouldn't, you know, anyone could win this one. And as we proved earlier, it's very easy to have a lose. Yeah, we did. A little bit too much throttle and you're facing the wrong way. I was trying to screen cheat and ended up
no screen cheating tonight.
This time we got 9 laps though, so if it happens, it could impact you even more. And now it's not about qualifying lap, it's about points, it's about getting position. And as well, even if it comes to a reverse grid, you'll know that the cumulative, that's what you'll be looking forward in round 3.
All right, we're into the load screen, so we're not too far away. Watch this, it'll pop up and it's pretty much go straight away. And we're racing on round 2, race number 4. And another good start from your pole man, but watch out for Mad Racer 38. Hasn't managed to jump up too many spots yet. Bit of racing room given by Jacob Harvey, Haro 5. And the first of the braking opportunities is coming up at turn 3. And Haro 5 has half a look. Bit of contact further back between XC Mr. Bucket and the 7 of Superman, who's out the back of this pack. Pretty close start.
Yeah, it's definitely going to see coming out of this corner is you're going to want to get good drive. It's a long run coming out of turn 5 down into turn 6. So, you know, Semper's leading, so Haro 5, you know, he's with him, but behind him, look at the train. They're blocking, they're covering for each other, so it's going to be surprising. It's been really, really clean so far. Every time, you know, I play this, take someone, I seem to take someone out. I took Jake out at the first corner, so it's good to watch.
Away, yeah.
He's run it slightly wide, though, and Haro 5 will get the drive to the inside of Luffield, and as they run onto the MotoGP front straight, I think we'll have a new race leader. It looks like Haro 5 is just about through. There's still a bit of overlap, but the next corner is Cops, and that is a very fast right-hander, so there's no chance for Semper. He has to fall back into second. Change for the lead, and here comes Ultimate Age 05.
Up again. Remember, this is going to be a very different week. They've had time to prepare for this. They've got 3 tracks ahead of them, and this only being the first one. Let's see if they've practiced enough.
With these two battling up the front as well, it lets the other guys catch up. As you know, when you're battling, you know, it slows you down by time. So I think you're going to find that this is going to be a tight race the whole time. If these two keep battling up the front, the guys will just hold on and it'll get really good. So
what does that tell you about strategy? Pit stop window is open lap 1. Surely someone pits on this first lap.
Yeah, I think you were saying before. Also, there's no tie deg, so there's no advantage or disadvantage of pitting lap 1. So if you're one of the boys like Ultimate Age 05 running 4th, you know,
bang, here we go.
They've come in. So I think that's
he's done an Andre
Heimgartner to the Carpenter.
Yeah, we had that happen. What was that? Was the Bend early this year? We had one happen last year as well at Pukekohe, I think it was, something similar.
Oh, I don't know what just happened there.
That was a bit aggressive.
But now, I think Ultimate Age went under him.
A reminder, they have absolutely no control during the pit stop phase.
I guess it was his turn to go in. However, Haro 05 was the only person who didn't pit stops there. So first lap, 2 members going in, and we'll have to keep an eye out for Haro 05. That is Jacob Harvey there to see when he goes in.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty smart by a few of those guys to pit early. I think you're going to find like some of the boys, Holden 96, you know, 4th. I think he's going to be held up, and by the time the other guys, they'll get a bit of an undercut on him from fresh air.
All right, let's see exactly how that's going to work when we serve the pit stops. And this is the pit entrance again. How about the late call to pit for Semper?
This one's a big
and
hit.
Then bang.
Camera doesn't know what to do with it.
Back to this lead pack at the moment, and this is probably the closest we've seen all races together so far. Anyone going to take that pit entrance this time? We're actually onto the old front straight at the moment. Working lap 2 of race 4, and this is the other pack to watch out for, those who have already had the pit stop. Looking over the corner, or over the shoulder, I should say, of Ultimate Age 05 as he puts the pressure on Semper, and he's got the overlap. Geez, worked that nicely. Not quite.
Almost found it, but Semper holds on. Still in the back of the pack. This is their opportunity to catch up. And remember, there has been no one else who's really taken the pit stop right now. So we'll have to keep an eye on them, see how they progress forward, because everyone else still has to make their way in. But it is only lap number 2 of 9 here.
Well, the key to that strategy, Will, is clean air, and they've not actually given each other clean air.
No, they haven't. They've kept tight, but they were coming down in turn 3 there, so I think you'll see a passing opportunity for them.
All right, how is this going to affect the pack? Because the whole point is to be out there in clean air with no one in front of you. More guys pitting over to the right-hand side. And this will give us our first indication of how long the pit stops take and just how close they are on track.
Look how clean they are around the corners as well. I think now that we've all sat down and we've looked at how these guys do it, they just make it look so easy.
Oh, I've got a lot of respect for them
I know.
after this.
It genuinely looks like they're driving with the aids on.
Yeah,
because that's how clean they are.
Through here, I don't think I even got through there once.
You can see there's no spinning out. Their traction looks... Yeah, traction control looks like it's on.
This is the battle. Ultimate Age 05 has got through on Semper, and they're going past the pits now. So wait for the pit exit and the rejoin for those who are in the lane. It's going to be close at the pit exit. Turn 1. Lap 3, and that is just how close it is. So they've cost each other some time. They've gone for the undercut, did not work.
Yeah, whatever
You'll find breaking down into here and through here, they might...
That's a long way back, and there's contact.
Contact, he's got it.
That's the first real big hit we've seen in the series so far.
I think he's going to readdress here from the look at... Yep, he's readdressed, so That was nice.
Good recovery there from Ultimate Age 05.
So there is a rule that you're pretty much not allowed to push and shove. We follow the basic sort of rules of motorsport, I guess. But if you do redress in that situation, you pretty much should be okay, I think.
I love watching it, so you know, I love the hitting and that, so I think it's quite cool. It adds a bit of
great.
excitement.
You gotta have a go.
But you know, from them both touching, it's let.
Who's again, Will? Have a crack at this. Long way back.
It's a long way back. Lock the wheel on the inside. Probably a bit ambitious, really. It's not really like in a hairpin or something, maybe. But yeah, probably a little bit ambitious down there.
I think he knew it was a little bit out of bounds, so he decided to back it off.
Yeah.
Try and let that spot get back through. So the race again broken in two between those who have pitted and those who have not. And this is the pack of those who have.
Talking about Haro a little bit before. He's dropped down into 5th position. Looking to make his way back up, but Holden 96 at the moment, leading the charge. And a name that we didn't really talk about in the previous week because he was middle of the pack. He wasn't really showing up big, but this week, it's round 2. This is your opportunity to start climbing up in those points.
This is the best we've seen from XC Mr. Bucket as well. We didn't see him running with these guys last week, so clearly he's had a chance to practice and running with the guys who were inside the top 3 spots last night. This shows it so well. We've got one in the pits right now. We've got one who has decided to not pit, and then there's this pack right now going through Stowe and down to Vale. So can the two who are in the lane get out ahead of these guys?
Long way to go.
Fastest lap of the race, 2:06. Mad Racer 38.
A lot faster than us.
Yes, considerably faster than us.
Was that faster than his qualifying lap?
We saw some 2:06s, but yes, I believe it
think
was actually. Yeah,
It's interesting.
He
when
was
you
in
have
the 2:07s.
When you have the pressure on of the 7 other players coming in, and he manages to beat his qualifying lap.
Yeah. You don't generally see that, do you?
No.
Generally qualifying's fast lap of the weekend. But, you know, it's cool to see one of them, like Mad Race, hasn't pitted yet. So it'll be surprising to see how long he stays out there before putting himself back in the pack.
So it takes 47 seconds to get through pit lane.
Yep.
Mad Racer 38's making the most of that clean air right now. Has he got a 47-second advantage? That's the question.
So he definitely hasn't pitted just yet. And for Mad Racer, feels like a bit of a rinse and repeat here, folks. That we're seeing this guy dominate the race, at least setting the charge. He does like to pit later on in the race from what we've seen. He'll take later on rather than first or second lap as a lot of these other players have gone. So where does the tactic come through here of pitting later in the race rather than early?
See, for us, we've got tyre deg on. We've got to put fuel in. Depends if you fuel saved or anything like that. So there's a few different things here. Obviously, I think the biggest thing for these guys, as a lot of them worked out, is the biggest advantage of pitting is getting into fresh air. So a lot of them pitted lap 1, lap 2, but Mad Racer, you know, he's out in front. He's got fresh air. There's no advantage of pitting till, you know, second last lap or last lap even, because, you know, he's running around there fine. All the tyres are the same. So I'd probably leave it, if you're in a rhythm, leave it there as long as possible.
This feels like this might be one of his fastest laps as well. So we'll keep an eye on this, because for Mad Racer, he said it was the 2:06 before.
Yep.
I mean, this is looking pretty good.
Well, that's the point. Get that clean air, and then you can do fast laps. Exactly what he's been doing. So it's working for him. Ultimate Age 05 to the inside of Superman. Can't take that one away. They're fighting at the moment for potentially a podium. We'll have to wait and see after it all washes out with his last pit stop.
What's going to help here is he hasn't pitted. They're all fighting, which we know is going to slow you down by up to over a second a lap.
Yep.
So he's just going to keep out there, fresh air, running around, doing his own thing while all these guys are fighting each other. So I think you'll see him get a podium here.
If it stays the way it is, we might see some different drivers up on the podium, because at the moment at least, it's looking like we might see Mad Racer 38. We saw him up there considerably last week, but XE Mr. Bucket might be on for his first podium, but here comes Ultimate Age 05. It's tight down there. He has to use the curbs, but manages to stay off him.
Close call again there. Only lap 5, though. Still on the pack.
It's really cool to see how close they're racing without touching.
Yeah. A bit of respect shown, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely, that's for sure.
It's not like your usual online gaming.
No.
Completely different. These guys actually race each other pretty much most weeknights. Some of them have been in a league together for quite a few years.
Yeah.
So know each other's styles. Oh, one running wide.
They leave each other more room than we do on the track.
A bit more gentlemanly,
I think we should all have to watch this and take some notes down.
You can take it to the team briefing at Erebus.
Yeah, I think I'll have to.
Well, unfortunately, Teddy Izul's a little bit behind once again. We're asking him to step up to the plate today, especially in round number 2. So he's got a bit of catching up to do, but 4 laps to do it. Ultimate Age 05 has separated himself from the pack, and Semper's coming up the rear with Mr. Bucket behind him. And Teddy Ozil trying to close some of that distance again.
So I'm really looking forward to dropping Mad Racer 38 into this pack after the pit stop window, but I think he's going to have, well, given the clean air he's got, a pretty sizable advantage. He's been running in clean air, Will, for 5 laps nearly, and the rest of these guys clearly having quite a battle.
If I was him right now, I'd pit on lap 8. That's what I'd do. I wouldn't put myself back into this battle till as late as I have to. We might even find that he's well out ahead, so he could pit. He may be able to see that at home to see if he's got that 47-second gap, which I'm sure they'd work out. So I'd pit as late as possible.
You know what I've learnt today is that people who can race in real life do really well in the game, as you have both showed me, and I have disappointed myself. Mad Racer. I mean, I'd love to see him on the track. Love to see him on the track, and I think he's got aspirations to make it to Bathurst next year, or a couple of years after. So good on him, and you can see the experience is kind of playing off here as well.
Yeah, definitely. As we were saying before, Mad Racer, he's racing the XL Cup, so it's pretty cool to see that he's racing cars and also in this. So hopefully we do see him at Bathurst soon in maybe a Toyota 86 or something like that.
All right, he's doing a good job at the moment. He's leading the way. Hasn't made that pit stop though. That pit stop can't be far away.
Data hungry? Get up to 30 gigs with every recharge, plus unlimited calls and texts. Now with data rollover, all on Australia's biggest mobile network.
Hey Scotty, who should I choose as New Zealand's new favourite driver?
It has to be someone fast, Murph.
It's nail-biting time. Here comes McLaughlin down the inside. Oh, the grass, very close.
Stay loyal to the Holdens, Murph.
If you're going to pick up a victory, this is the place to do it for Shane Van Gisbergen.
Let's let the Kiwi race fans decide when the boys are back at Pukekohe.
The ITM Auckland Super Sprint, November 2 to 4. Book now at Ticketek and get your heart racing.
Game like the pros, now at Harvey Norman, your home of the great gaming deals. We have the best brands at the best prices, like Predator, Republic of Gamers, Omen, MSI. Hurry in for Predator desktops from only $26.98, Predator laptops from only $24.96, ROG laptops from only $22.96, and MSI laptops from only $18.97. Game like the pros, now at Harvey Norman, in-store and online.
Data hungry? Get up to 30 gigs with every recharge, plus unlimited calls and texts. Now with data rollover, all on Australia's biggest mobile network.
We're racing at Silverstone. This is round 2, race number 1 of the night, race 4 of the championship in the Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series. It's been close so far, maybe the closest race of the series so far.
Yeah, I think Haro in the leading position now, it looks like. Taking over Mad Race, I'm not sure how that happened. However, I am sure that Haro was one to watch and now proving it finally at the starting race of today.
Yeah, I think looking at that, Mad Race actually pitted. So he pitted a little bit earlier than what I expected. But, you know, if he's in fresh air, it's not going to matter at all.
206.5 as well, so the
getting better.
Speed has been really, really quick from Haro 5 at the front of the field, using a lot of the track at the approach up towards this new complex of corners, which was added when the circuit was changed in 2011. Village, the Loop, and then Aintree. And that big run onto the Wellington Straight again. Lap times very close, 206.5 Haro 5, 206.8 for Mad Race at 38.
They're not far apart either.
No, it's great to see. Like it's about consistency, isn't it? With all the times they're doing, you know, we're always trying to stay within a tenth of each other each lap. So, you know, they seem to do that as well. So really cool to see, and they're all driving very cleanly.
We'll see if that continues. That consistency definitely on the tip of our tongue, but we're getting towards the end of Silverstone now. 7 out of 9 laps remaining. And it's been a pretty exquisite performance to start us off. I think in qualifying, you know, a couple of mistakes. Semper decided to drift out, you know, for a fun reason or his own reason. But this has kind of been more constructive. This has been more to the point in some regards, apart from the bumping that we saw earlier on.
Yeah, I just saw another touch there. So no, it's been really good so far. The racing's been clean. You know, nobody's spun each other out, unlike our races. No, it's been really clean so far, and it's just surprising to see no real lockups, not a lot of wheel spin out of the corners. So really good to see so far.
It takes a lot of control to get around these corners as well, as we know very well after what we did, but the control that's coming out today, it's showing why they're the top 8 most likely in the country.
Yeah, it's actually quite surprising. As we were saying earlier, that pretty much all of them, I'm not sure if we worked out one of the guys was using a simulator, but pretty much all of them are using remotes, which I find really hard, obviously, after driving. But we were speaking that using a simulator actually gives you cold tyres for the start of the race, so a big disadvantage.
So the final pit stop's happening, and that will be Mad Racer 38, Matty Bink in the pit. So he did save it to be quite late, and it's going to be pretty close with the rejoin here.
So it must have been Harrow that hasn't pitted yet.
Mustn't have.
No.
So also saving it late. I thought he pitted on the opening lap, but
no. So he was one of the few. There were 3 people who pitted.
There he goes. So there,
that was
that's the rejoin. So Haro 5 does take the lead.
This is tight.
How close is the rejoin? So right at pit exit, Haro 5 versus Mad Racer 38.
One of the things we generally find is when we rejoin here, we have cold tyres. But the good thing is all their tyres are the same. So from here, Mad Racer is going to be able to get right up on the back of Haro 5 straight away. And we'll see a good race to the finish, I think.
They've both been in the mid-206s here as well. So nothing separating them in terms of time. Can Mad Racer 38 track him down?
But the rest of the pack are catching up as well. Holden's actually on the rear of Mad Racer. So this could be anyone's race at this point. Yeah,
true. Holden 96 maybe even on for his first podium here. Putting together a pretty good race here, Matt Collings.
Pretty cool to see after 9 laps and a pit stop, it be this tight. Yeah. So Mad Racer, you know, he's behind. You can, you know, there's always more pressure when you're leading. So hopefully you can hunt him down and put a few good moves on.
So we haven't seen these guys apart from jumping onto Bathurst last week. We saw them on their prime track. And this is different. I think here we expected it to be a little bit more spread out, more mistakes, more mishaps, but this has been pretty clean so far, as we said before. I think now in this final lap, 8th lap, we'll see how we go.
It'll be, you know, coming into the last lap will be a big one. Obviously, you want to cover if anyone's behind you. And a couple of spots will be watching down into turn 3, into the village.
Yep.
You know, that's a very good passing area. And then from there, 15, 16, and then round on the straight. So 15 and 16 is definitely a good passing opportunity where they'll have to cover.
All right, well, this is the second last lap. We're coming up to start the last lap, and that was more than a bit of a wiggle from Ultimate Age 05. This will be his first race off the podium as well. So unless he can grab a couple spots late in the race. That is the last spot on the podium right ahead of him. You're watching the top 4, and the race leader starting the last lap now.
I think he's got a sizable gap coming down to the village. He's not going to have to cover, which is a big thing. When you cover, you don't get as good exit, so it leaves you vulnerable for 4 and the whole way down to 6. So if he can hold this little bit of a lead, I think you'll see him get a good exit and hold the race win.
Mad Racer 38 is getting closer. Hasn't finished lower than 2nd so far this season. 2 wins and a 2nd. He's looking pretty consistent. That's the consistency we were talking about earlier. Looking back from Haro 5, your race leader. This is where Will said he needs to get a good exit.
Looks like he's done that as well, but, you know, Mad Racer, if you can get up on the back of him and try rattle him a little bit, a wheel lock-up or anything like that can really put the pressure on and make him run a little bit wide.
Mad Racer 38 close in the mid-corner. And they're putting the pressure on now, half a lap to go.
I like the name Mad Racer 38 because 38's my racing number, yeah.
and you're a Mad Racer.
He's got a Erebus hat on and he's got number 38.
I was going to say, I've not seen you and Mad Racer 38 in the same room at the same time, actually. Yeah. So Holden 96, potential first podium coming up for him tonight. And the fight at the front of the field is close.
But you can't let up right now. Mad Racer knows that Holden's behind him. I know. Even further back, Ultimate Age as well.
Will's looking at the track map trying to pick where he's going to get him. And it's either going to be Stowe or Vale.
It's a big thing, you know, we're coming 11, 12, 13 here, but the biggest thing is Stowe. He's got to get a good exit out of here, get the run down, hopefully a bit of a slipstream. And if we can get right down there, I think if he can hold it through Stowe and into Vale, he's got it done then. So and he's got a good exit out there. Mad Racer 38 just ran a little bit wide on the right into Beckett's, and then Chapel, you know, Harrow 05 had a really good run down the straight.
Last chance. Needs to get a good run out of Stowe. Is he close enough? Maximising that exit up over the curbing. Also the fight for 3rd in the background. Ultimate Age 05 trying to go around the outside of Holden 96. Didn't get him, or does he? Couple battles to watch out for. Last corner. It's been the race of the season so far. And Jacob Harvey's going to do it. He holds on. Swings over to the pit wall. Harrow 5, the race winner. Takes his first win of the year. And how consistent.
Holden 96 coming in 3rd, which I believe is his first podium.
It is.
So that's great to see.
So there you go. That is the first of tonight's 3 races, and pretty exciting. 9 laps of a 2-minute circuit, pretty much 20-minute race, and well, there you go.
Finally, though, finally for Harrow 05, that first place position. I mean, we talked him up. I felt like a broken record last week, and I was like, this guy is going to come up big. And unfortunately, he just couldn't maintain the distance and couldn't really maintain that top 3 finish. So for Harrow 05 this week, getting first even though it will be a reverse grid, is good motivation for
He
him.
made that call to come in early on the first lap, and it paid off for him, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You know, running anywhere from second, wherever you're not able to maximise your laps or you're behind someone, you may as well pit and get in early, get in some fresh air. So that was smart by him, and you know, it's pretty cool to watch how tight it all was, because I just didn't expect that. That was a really good race to watch.
That was the race of the season so far, and look how close those lap times are between the top guys. 2:06.0 from Ultimate Age trying to catch them, but that was pretty close. 0.4 of a second, and it's Jacob Harvey from Ngambia in Victoria who picks up his first race win of the year. Mad Racer 38 coming home for another top 3 spot. He is the only driver to finish on the podium in all 4 races so far this year. Holden 96 picks up his first podium of the year, and for the first time this year, Ultimate Age 05 not in the top 3.
Feels good when you're racing Holdens to get a third finish there. But
when your name's Holden 96.
But look, for Holden 96, it's a proud moment, you know, getting that first podium finish, especially when you fell so far behind in the first week. I think if we look back, Holden finished 5th there on 24 points, so when you consider that Mad Racer was on 56, he was so far down. This is going to propel him up. Same with Haro 05 and Ultimate Age. Even though it was a 4th finish, it's still good points to keep him going up.
The thing that sort of flew under the radar then, as well as Sterex, was Semper. He was the pole sitter, and he finished last. So that's the first time we've seen him slip up. He finished 4th in race 1 at Laguna Seca when he started on pole, and he's fallen a little bit further down the order here today, so it's clearly not worked out for Semper.
You know what that means, though, is that TDI Azul's was not 8th, which is great. which is great, because if he doesn't finish 8th, so many more points. He finished on 4 last week, and for someone like, coming back to your point of Semper, who was in 2nd position, this is going to hurt him.
All right, I think we've got Jacob Harvey lined up right now for a post-race chat. Jacob, can you hear us there, buddy?
How you going, Chad?
Hey, mate, good to speak to you again. You're a man of few words, but can you talk us through that last race?
Very nerve-wracking, especially I had no idea that Matty Bink hadn't pitted until he popped out in front of me. So,
you thought you were the leader of the race until that point?
I thought, the mongrel snookered me again. But, he just slotted in behind. But, yeah, that's probably the most nerve-wracking 3 laps I've had for a while.
That's fair. Hey, Jacob, I want to interject. Is this a confident map of yours? Was Silverstone something you were looking forward to, or was it something you just wanted to get over and done with?
To be honest, I've never raced on there with a supercar except for the practice that I've done this week.
Wow. Jeez. That's pretty handy.
Good job.
I've done both halves of it as the national circuit and the international circuit, but I haven't the whole thing combined before. So
we're just checking out some highlights now at the start of the race. That's the closest race, Jacob, we've had all season by an absolute mile. The whole pack was running with each other for the first few laps.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You were right in the middle of it. I know you're a big Erebus fan. We've got Will Brown on the panel tonight. How did you enjoy watching Wilbur run this year?
Yeah, you've done a really good job.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, awesome job, man.
Yeah, I see you wearing your Erebus cap in the photo. That was good to see in 38.
His video...
I wasn't sure which photo they ended up using.
His video game skills and his Forza skills are not quite up to scratch like yours. Have you got any tips for Will Brown to maybe knock 20 seconds off his lap time?
Lots of laps.
Yeah. I think I'll have to head out and buy Forza this week. I think you guys have won me over.
How many practice laps did you do this week, Jacob?
Too many.
Too many.
You're not proud of it, are you?
We all sort of did the same amount. So, because, me, Adrian, Matt, Andrew, and Jono all raced with each other normally. So, we raced this weekend. So, we've put our series on hold sort of for doing this one.
Mid-season break. He put a lot of pressure on the last lap there as well, Mad Racer 38. You weren't too worried he was going to get around you?
Oh, I was. I trust him. He's good to race with. He's not the sort of person that's just going to bomb you out of the way or whatever. So unless I screwed up big time, he wasn't going to, send it into the doors or whatever. But he makes you nervous.
Hey, Jacob, how do you feel going into Hockenheimring next?
No idea. Go too good for me. So
fair enough.
Hopefully it goes better this one.
All right, I'll let you get back to it, mate. Congratulations on your first race win of the year. All right, that's good. He's gone off to focus on the lobby for race number 2. Interesting way to do a post-race interview.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not used to doing it this way. I couldn't even see him. But no, he did a really good job. Not to those last couple of laps, like you said, those last 3 laps, especially when you've got someone really closing up on you, it's pretty tough. You know, you're thinking don't lock a wheel, don't muck up, and the person behind you actually has the advantage in a way, because you just sort of look at where they break and go a little bit deeper. So
I love how he had no idea that he was getting undercut at that same time as well.
Yeah.
Because the whole race was between him and Mad Racer 38, but they're at different parts of the track.
Yeah, that's right, and you see that a lot of times. That's why sometimes when you're at home and you're not watching, say, Natsoft or something like that, you're thinking, oh, you know, such and such is the leader, but he can actually be in 10th position really, but just hasn't pitted yet. So it's one of the things that you have to watch out on, that's for sure.
I guess that's where having an engineer helps.
Yeah,
someone
definitely.
in your ear to tell you.
Yeah, we all need the engineers.
Yeah.
We're not quite as smart. We just sit there and drive it. We're the spacer, and the engineer does the rest of it.
All right, so exciting, and it's sort of going to mix things up a bit now because we saw particularly Semper drop some points there.
Yeah, I think the Semper's the biggest surprise after that first race. I know that Mad Racer will still be feeling happy getting at least 2nd position. But, you know, the rise of stars here. Haro 05 finally jumping into the spotlight. Semper needs this win now. He'll be in first because of the
pole.
reverse grid.
Yeah.
So Semper needs something here to stay in that top 3 for this week and set him up for the 3rd race.
All right, well, let's check out the points and see exactly how it sits right now. Mad Racer 38 has lost a little bit of that points advantage, and wow, Haro 5 goes from 4th to 2nd. Semper drops to 4th. So just like that, within one race, the whole thing changes.
Oh, and definitely, as we were saying before, for Mad Racer, you know, it's all about consistency. For him to finish 2nd there, if I was him, you know, you always want to win a race, but he's not going to do anything silly because, like I say, 1st and 2nd, not a huge points difference, and consistency is going to win the championship.
It's insane that even after the first week, and we're talking about, you know, it's just 1 week, for TDI Azul, still on 12 points, still trying to catch up to Superman. We said anything's possible. It is only the 2nd week here. You know, we've got so many more races to go. But for Mad Racer, getting that early lead has helped him so much that even falling into 2nd position there doesn't enable Haro 05 to take him over. 18 points, still the difference.
How about Mad Racer's first 4 races? Matty Bink, 1st, 2nd, 1st, 2nd.
That's pretty good.
So what's he due for next? A first.
Yeah. As we go off to the next track, that'll be Hockenheim Ring, which is coming up pretty soon. Interesting to know that Jacob and a few of these guys hadn't done many laps here before. All the qualifying stuff happened at Bathurst, and I think a lot of their league stuff probably is local track. So for him to say that's the first time that they've run a GP circuit, and typically supercars races happen on smaller circuits. We don't usually run on Formula 1 circuits. So totally different sort of ball game for these guys, and for him to pick it up that quickly in a week, essentially, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, like the F1 track is so much more open. You know, a lot more runoff. Supercar tracks, we seem to, you know, Winton a lot tighter, Tasmania, they all seem to be a lot tighter. So, you know, as you say, they probably haven't done as many laps around these, so it'll be exciting to see how they go.
Just a reminder, if you want to have a crack at Forza Motorsport 7, go and pick up an Xbox from Harvey Norman and check out tomorrow night because the Cup Series is back. It runs every Wednesday night off the back of the E-Series. So for now and the next 5 Wednesday nights, you can be a part of the action. And as we've been saying, a great way to enter the sport. If you haven't had a chance yet, guys, the Cup Series is the place where you want to start.
I've come up with a new plan as well. If you can't afford an Xbox, borrow one, win, you'll get a $150 Harvey Norman gift card, win next week as well, right?
Perfect.
So 2 weeks of renting, and then you can probably buy the Xbox with it.
That's actually a fair idea. It's definitely cheaper than doing it for real, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's a good way to go racing and be affordable. So,
save on fuel, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, let's check out the next venue. We're off to Germany for the Hockenheim Ring. It's based down in the south of Germany in the Black Forest. Unbelievable circuit, which used to span many, many more kilometres than it does today. Originally built back in 1932. It's the home of Formula 1 and also DTM, which is like the German equivalent of supercars.
Okay.
But they also do drag racing there. They've got a quarter-mile drag strip, which you can just see off to the left-hand side. Really cool circuit, particularly when you swing back here into the stadium section. And as we found out earlier today, Will, there's a few spots that you can make some moves.
Yeah, definitely. You know, down into 2 is obviously a really good passing opportunity. From there, the long run, you drive out of 2 and round 3 and 4 is going to be a long run down into turn 6 because it's quite easy to get up the inside of so on, and the hairpins are really good opportunity for passing. I think if I don't see any contact down there, I'll be surprised. I know in there.
You said good opportunity for passing, but there's more opportunities at hairpin than we know. Like, that is a dangerous turn.
Definitely. So, yeah, like I say, if I don't see someone make contact down there, I'll be very surprised. But from there, you want to get it turned real well. Out of 6, through 7, 8's another good passing opportunity where you want to get out of, through 9, 10, 11's a bit more of a sweeper, so it's hard. It's not as hard on the brakes. So when you go into a corner and it's not very hard on the brakes, it makes it, you know, a lot harder to pass that because you just don't have the braking opportunity. Well, that's why the hairpin's so good. You're braking for about 200 metres.
Here comes the hairpin, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's this big, long, sweeping run up to it. You can slipstream, and then if you're brave enough, have a dive down the right-hand side, right about here. Where do you think they'll be on the brakes? Probably about that first marking board, I'd say, on the left-hand side.
Definitely.
Whoever we're following on board with here has done a pretty good job at pulling that up down there at the hairpin.
I definitely don't think we pulled it up.
No, not once. Fast right-hander on approach coming up here. This is going through turn 7. That's quick, and like we'll
This is another passing opportunity because you've got to pull back to the right. So as the person pulls back to the right, you can throw it down the inside. You just drive straight ahead, and that's where you can get it done. So out of 9, you got the left to get back to get a good run out of the turn 10, which you want to do. Because you're running right down to turn 11 here. You've got a bit of a straight, so you've got a bit of a straight into a flowing right. So I just don't think you'll see many passes done here. As you know, there's not that much of a braking opportunity. But down in 12, once again, a hairpin. So that's going to be a place where you can get up the inside, get it in there, and get the job done.
If you're a Formula 1 fan, you would recognise that corner because that's where Sebastian Vettel crashed this year when he was leading his home race in the rain. Run back through the stadium section, a couple of right-handers to get you back onto the front straight. Awkward pit entrances I found out earlier today.
Yeah, I think you ended up in the fence there, didn't you?
See that little tyre bundle on the right-hand side? I destroyed it. And it cost me the race as a result. Back onto the front grid. And lap times around here, well, we'll wait and see what we've got headed our way, but I can almost guarantee they're going to be quicker than what we were doing. That's how they're going to line up. Now, I had Semper on the pole there, so they've put him off the back potentially here. Superman off the front.
First grid.
Should have been off the front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
so maybe, I don't know. Well,
we'll wait and see.
Yeah,
we'll wait and see. Teddy
Wait
Ozul's
until-
on the front row. He picked up a front row start, the Tasmanian, when we went racing at Belgium, so potentially a chance to make the most of that front row starting spot, but we have seen him getting ganged up on with the cold tyres.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It'll be exciting to see. I'm looking forward to the reverse grid. See if Harrow 5 can move through. See who can get the passes done.
I'm liking Mad Racer 38 off row 2 here as well. I think that's a pretty good starting spot. Might be able to pick up some early spots here. So that is how they'll start for race number 5. Round 2 here on the Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series. And just like that, we're off and running. And Semper did get the front row start. So there you go. It was true reverse grid. And he's also taken out about 5 bolos.
There's a few track limits there. He's got a good exit from that.
It's worked a treat, though. He's opened up about 10 car lengths, and it's going to be on behind him.
The biggest thing for Semper is if he can get away early, these guys are going to fight, so it's going to give him fresh air. Well, it's tight. You know, to see him racing this tight, no one turning each other or anything, it's really good to see. So
we're expecting a lot more there. That was actually a pretty clean
turn. The hairpin is coming, though, through the parabolica, turn 5.
This is the biggest one. Somebody's got to be the hero, and hero to 0.
Who's it going to be? Have a look at the lead that Semper's got. He's absolutely cleared out.
It was the cones.
He committed, didn't he, at turn 1? And this is where we're expecting drama. Holden 96 has it locked up.
Oh, he's gone so fast.
Can't stop it. Ultimate Age 05 on the grass.
I think actually Mr. Bucket actually did a really good job then. I think he saw him and just thought, I'll let him go. And down the inside, didn't turn in. And
didn't touch anyone.
It was good to see.
It was clean.
I think that'll cost Holden, though, back in 8th position.
It's going to be surprising to see who pits on this lap because, you know, they're all fighting really hard. I'd pit straight away if I was one of those guys battling back there. Get in the fresh air when you come out. But also for them, it depends if they go in front of you pits because you're just going to come out right on his bumper again.
Because Semper is just disappearing here. Andrew Dyson, the Victorian's got a really good start, and they're too wide further back in the pack as they fight in the mid-pack.
I guess we'll talk about when they pit here in the second race, but Mad Racer,
here we go. Mad Racer 38 has a bit of a wobble there. He's currently sitting in 3rd. Surely we'll see early pit stops here. They seem to be growing a growing trend here.
I think Mr. Bucket is the first one to go in, and looks like the only one to go in at this stage. Harrow 05 will join him as well.
Harrow 5 did a good job. He moved from 7th up to 5th, so got 2 positions on the first lap. If he can pit and get out in fresh air, I think we'll see him move through a little bit more.
Mad Racer 38 taking a lot of curb going through turn 1. The car just propped up on 2 wheels for a moment. This is your top 3 at the moment, but we have had some drivers pop into the pits, so that'll change things up. Mad Racer 38, Ultimate Age 05. Superman 162. Haven't seen too much of Superman yet.
He's been a little bit quiet, hasn't he? Finished in 7th after week 1 on 10 points, and just below Mr. Bucket by 10 as well, but above Teddy Ozul. So Superman looking to make up some points here in the second week and continue his roam up. With Semper's lead at the moment, though, you're noticing no pit stop for him. He's continued on forward. Trying to make more space there between him and Mad Racer. Ultimate Age 5 coming up the rear as well.
Just
the
off
turns
rears.
here.
This is good to see. TDI Azul's running with the front pack here.
Yeah.
He's having a good run. Hopefully he can stay with Superman. Ultimate Age 05 and Mad Racer 38 just starting to escape a little bit. This is that battle. And again here, Will, if you were Ultimate Age 05 and you're looking at this rear bumper, you'd be thinking it's probably time to pit.
Yeah, definitely. Unless you can get the pass done, you're going to get into the pits and get it out. But I think here he's going to get an overlap. Oh, he's bumped him.
It's tight because it's not
It's
much
good
of
to
a
watch.
passing
He's
spot, man.
aggressive.
It's good.
Maybe the left-hander. Mad Racer 38 goes defensive.
That's what you wanted to see,
Mad
Will.
Race. Yeah, he's covering him off. I like seeing a little bit of bumping. It's good. He's putting the pressure on him. That's what you got to do. We occasionally do it as well. You don't hit him hard enough that it affects him too much, but you hit him just to say, I'm here. So that's what he's doing right now. So, no, it's really good to see. But if he can't get him soon, I'd dive into the pits because, you know, all he's doing is holding himself up here. I think he's a bit quicker. And I think he could, if he pits and gets some fresh air, he'll move up some positions.
He's the only one that didn't.
Yeah.
I think Superman went in the pit as well with TDI Azul at his rear, so 2 more pits there.
And if you're TDI Azul, you would have been hoping that all 3 of them didn't pit. And unfortunately, one of them did. So he's not going to get completely clean racetrack.
As a side note there as well, Holden actually did pit on the back end as well. Still in that 8th position, but the ability to climb only 3 laps of 10 here, adding that extra lap onto Hockenheim Ring.
It's going to be exciting to see when they all pit because if, you know, Semper's got fresh air, and as we were saying before, there's no tyre wear, there's no fuel, so he might as well just stay out there. Fresh air just means, you know, you can pretty much pit whenever you'd like.
There's the rejoin, and XC Mr. Bucket going around these guys who have already been in pit lane. So that's Superman, who will have TDI Azuls behind him, and up the road is the rejoining XC Mr. Bucket. So that's actually good news for XC. Here you go, TDI Azuls. Oh, it's Haro 5. Wow, he got jumped in the first round of pit stops. And now he's having to work for it. Oh, big slide. Is he around?
I think he's turned it.
I think he lost it. The winner in race 1, potentially a mistake.
We're talking about it before those turns and coming back off them. It's dangerous.
If you drop 2 wheels on the grass like that, it can be slippy.
I believe he may have gone round then, and like you say, that's a few points lost if he has, and a lot of time. So we'll wait and find out.
Superman getting the car pulled up, and he's lost a little bit of time on XC Mr. Bucket.
And I believe, yeah, Haro 05 has gone round. He's back in 8th now.
Oh.
So, you know, that's no good.
Oh, boy. Let's check this out on the Boost Mobile replay. He had half a look here at turn 2. Committed to the outside at turn 3. They left racing room.
I think he just left a little bit too much room, to be honest. He opened the steering to leave more room and has just lost it on the X and dropped 2 wheels. So I would have just, you know, you can do a little bit of touching there.
So just to give you an idea, we've got a few different battle packs opening up. The lead 3 yet to pit. I believe it's 3 in the lead pack. Superman just running wide here. And as a result, he might get picked off because at the moment he's got TDI Azuls closing in on him after the pit stops. Anyone going to take a pit stop here? These guys are already pitted, so no would be the answer.
Yeah. You'd hope so, unless they want to...
A 2-stop strategy, probably not the best way home today. I reckon.
No, that's right.
Probably not going to get the job done with a 2-stopper. So the leaders are at the hairpin, and these guys making their way through. And look how much time Haro 5 lost. He's just on the front straight now.
I think we wrote down here before how many seconds was pit lane. That's
42
the big thing.
I got.
So 42 seconds it'll be. So
although I did take half the pit entrance
yeah,
with me.
that's right.
So I'm not too sure if that was the quickest way in.
Well, I don't even think you took the pit lane. I think you just cut the grass. So it was probably a quicker way in.
So Semper was pushing hard in the early stages of the race and very nearly overcooked it. Let's check it out on the Boost Mobile replay. Turn 1. It's fast. It's 4th gear, and he nearly threw it down the road.
Good recovery, though.
That's a good save. Maximising the entrance at the drag strip, turning right back into the stadium section. These guys yet to pit.
Got to say, though, this reverse grid has worked out well for Semper, someone who we said was going to be a key player. He's still in that first position. That's where he started. That's where he maintains. And you're talking about the pit. As soon as that comes through for Semper, that'll be crucial there as we're on to lap 4.
If you know you're on for a bad result as well, in race 1, go back to the back of the pack and pick up the pole for race 2.
Well,
You'll lose some points,
you know,
but
if you can't get up to 7th, or you know even 7th, you start on the front row. But 6, you may as well just get the points for the next one. You start at the front, get a good start, and you can win that one, which is a lot more points. But as we said here, look at Mad Racer. He's in 2nd, is it? Or has he not?
So.
He's not pitted yet.
I do not think Mad Racer, Semper, or Ultimate Age are pitted.
Okay.
Mr. Bucket, however, is someone to watch because he has from memory, along with TDI Zulz. And TDI Zulz actually in 5th position here. There's much better performance here in race number 2.
Yeah, I'll be surprised to see where Mad Racer pops out because, as we said, he's been really consistent. And yeah, it'll be good to see where he pops out and see if he grabs a few more points this race.
Up to the hairpin. 144, the best lap so far. That's quite nice. Gee, they're good under brakes, aren't they? Moving no ABS on.
Such difficult corners as well.
Back into the quick right-hander. You can run through here 5th gear, take a bit of grass, and a bit of a slide up the road for Mad Racer 38. Had that properly sideways as well then. There's been a bit of that tonight, actually. He doesn't mind taking some grass with him, Mad Racer 38.
Yeah, that's right.
Every quarter so far.
There mustn't be track limits here.
Yeah. He's maximising the surface, that's for sure. He's got 2 wheels on at all times, but he's not afraid to dip the inside tyres off. Are we going to get pit stops this time by? Halfway home, race 2.
The biggest thing for him was he'd be seeing Ultimate Age 05 in his mirrors, and you know, when you're looking behind, it's pretty easy to make a few mistakes.
Yep.
We're in a similar situation as well for Ultimate Age 05. You guys were saying before, does he pit that he's right up the back here of Mad Racer? And it seems like no is still the answer. Going to hold off for a little bit longer.
Man, he's made that call tonight, hasn't he, to sit behind him? I don't think he's losing time anymore, though. I'll give him that.
No, that's for sure. I think Mad Racer's setting some pretty good times here and definitely not holding him up. And it's probably actually pushing him further to try and catch him. So, you know, I don't think there's any loss there.
So the race is on between Semper, who's leading, and XC Mr. Bucket, who's leading out of those who have already pitted. So he could be on for a huge result.
Mad Racer loves grass.
He's all over it down there at turn 2. Riding on board with Adrian Yalpi. Ultimate Age 05. Picked up a 2nd place finish at race number 3 at Bathurst. Got a few scrapes on the car from the opening laps, but it's relatively pointed in the right directions. He's from Preston's in Sydney's western suburbs, not far from where we're broadcasting from tonight, 23 years of age. And like we heard Jacob say earlier in that interview, he's part of a group of guys who pretty much race each other every week. They've had to put their own championship on hold just to do this one.
I think we've got 5 out of the top 8 that are actually in that group as well. And one of them is Mad Racer. Talking about it in the article there, if you go to Supercars, the website, you will find this great article that kind of just gives you a bit of an insight. And 5 out of the top 8 races, I mean, that's why they're so good. That's why they're the top 8. They practice and practice and practice.
The biggest thing for them as well, 5 of the top 8 always driving together and racing each other. You get to learn who's, you know, who will leave room, who won't, who will do the dive bomb. So as he said, he trusted who are they battling with before?
Mad Racer 38.
Mad Racer 38.
Yep.
So he said he trusts him. That's a big thing. Depending on who you got behind you, it's if it'll be a kamikaze move or a clean one.
Again, going past the pit entrance, so no sign of a stop this time. The leader pits. So can he get out of the lane ahead of XE Mr. Bucket, who is leading out of those who have already made their pit stop, their one and only compulsory pit stop?
I think we're left to Mad Racer and Mad Racer and Ultimate Age 05, the only 2 who haven't pitted just yet. We're talking about Mr. Bucket.
He's got the pit stop done, so it will be. I think it'll be close in the pits to see who comes out over XE Mr. Bucket or Semper.
All right, watch for the left-hand side. There's the racetrack swinging by. And I think he's going to get out okay here. It must be a nervous feeling when you're exiting the pit.
He's got
Track
a bit of room,
map's going to show it's pretty close, but he's okay. And he should re-enter cleanly in the lead of this race. So it should be pretty close between XE Mr. Bucket and these guys who are on the left-hand side of the frame. Looking at that. Actually, Mr. Bucket was pretty close there as well, but not quite close enough.
No, it looks like Semper's got a pretty good lead coming out of there. Obviously running 3rd now because the other 2 haven't pitted.
Yep.
But I think you'll see him have a pretty comfortable lead by the time these guys get out here.
I think the battle will be between these 2 and XE Mr. Bucket for the podium. Semper's lead looked pretty good then.
Mad Racer wants to make up for game number 1. Remember, we said he was due for a 1st place position here, and he's holding strong. Ultimate Age came around that corner a little bit rough. Almost spun out, but good recovery. I think we've seen almost spins out. What's English? We've seen so many people almost spin out here and have just managed to recover. Again, the audacity of these players.
This will be good for Semper as well. Obviously, we saw him drop from 2nd in the championship to 4th there. So this will be good for his championship. To finish on first, it might boost him up a little bit further.
All right, so we'll sneak a quick ad break in. There's 3 laps to go. Still leading the way is Mad Racer 38, but he owes the field a pit stop.
Game like the pros, now at Harvey Norman, your home of the great gaming deals. We have the best brands at the best prices, like Predator, Republic of Gamers, Omen, MSI. Hurry in for Predator desktops from only $26.98, Predator laptops from only $24.96, ROG laptops from only $22.96, and MSI laptops from only $18.97. Game like the pros, now at Harvey Norman, in store and online.
Data hungry? Get up to 30 gigs with every recharge, plus unlimited calls and texts. Now with Data Rollover, all on Australia's biggest mobile network.
Hey Scotty, who should I choose as New Zealand's new favourite driver?
It has to be someone fast, Murph.
It's nail-biting time. Here comes McLaughlin down the inside. On the grass, very close.
Stay loyal to the Holdens, Murph.
If you're going to pick up a victory, this is the place to do it for Shane Van Gisbergen.
Let's set the Kiwi race fans aside when the boys are back at Pukekohe.
The ITM Auckland Super Sprint, November 2 to 4. Book now at Ticketek and get your heart racing.
Data hungry? Get up to 30 gigs with every recharge, plus unlimited calls and texts. Now with Data Rollover, all on Australia's biggest mobile network.
And still no pit stops from the front too. Hope you're following on the action here. This is race number 5 of the first ever Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series. Our special guest in the studio, we've got Will Brown, who was on the grid at Bathurst for the first time this year, driving with Erebus Penrite Racing. And as always, it's great to be joined once again by Hysterics here in the studio. Good race going on right now.
Yeah, it's actually surprising then to see Mad Racer not pit. It's going to be a pretty cool last lap because they're both going to pit on the last lap, pop out, and I think we'll see a really good good race to the finish.
They have to pit this lap. They are officially out of opportunities. So how's it going to play out? We know the man who's leading the pack of guys who've already pitted had a pretty handy advantage. That was Semper, who started on the pole, desperate to make some points up for losing a few points earlier in race 4 today, which was Silverstone.
He managed to push his way up. This is what's important. If he can get that first place position, this will fix everything for him. And I think Semper is due for a top 3 finish after what we saw of him last week, finishing in 2nd position, but due to that first race there, fell all the way. I think it was the 4th or 5th. So Semper is looking for a better finish here to race number 2.
I think you're going to see Mad Racer pop out with Who was it?
TD Azul.
Yeah, I think you'll see him pop out there. So I think that'll be the exciting bit to the last lap. I think Semper's got that lead on him as he did in the first bit. So I don't think Semper's got anything to worry about. He's just running around for first position here.
Yeah, I think Semper's looking pretty good. Looking at the leaderboard, they say there's about 40 seconds, and by our intel, it was about 47 seconds for a pit stop. So they have to pit this time by. Oh, massive moment. And they'll both come in, but gee, that was close for Ultimate Age 05.
At least he got there in the end. That's what matters.
Just. It's a really awkward pit entry over to the right-hand side.
Pretty disappointing race for Harrow 05, actually, after losing it out of that corner. I believe he won the last race.
I mean, when I was talking about it before, Silverstone seemed to be the easiest of the 3, and then we went to, Hockenheimring, we were going a bit more intermediate. We see here the corners have mucked them up a little bit, and it's been a bit of a difficult race here for Harrow 05. He's still sitting in that 8th position. There is one more lap to make it up, and remember that these top 2 leaders are now pitting, so this is an opportunity to take over, get a good lap on the board.
Here we go. It's going to be close. Starting the last lap. Your race leader will swing around the outside and resume the race lead. Got them both cleared. Now, XE Mr. Bucket, can he get a first ever podium here? He's just come around turn 1. On the last lap, you can see the headlights further back. It's pretty close.
I think XE Mr. Bucket just a little bit behind.
Hasn't got there, has he?
Still sitting in 4th position, so safety there in 2nd and 3rd. But Semper's the one who takes the lead, and boy, what a lead it is.
Well, either way, we should see some best results here for XE Mr. Bucket and TDI Zuls, but the race is not over yet for 3rd. Looking back there, it looked like it was pretty tight between XE Mr. Bucket and Ultimate Age 05.
Good for Mad Racer, though, who's managed to build a bit of distance between that 2nd and 3rd position. I think we can see there's a bit of aggression coming. It'll be around this hairpin turn. He's taken it.
Now, was there contact there? It was pretty close. XE Mr. Bucket ran wide. I'm not sure if he was helped there.
If there was, he's definitely not readdressing. It's last lap. You never
He's like,
readdress.
last lap, too bad, I'm out of here.
Take the penalty if they give you one.
That was pretty close. I wonder what happened back there.
He could have just actually Mr. Bucket might have just locked a wheel down there, ran a bit wide, and
Does it look like he
which
was
he's taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Looked like he was taking him over. Looked like Ultimate Age 05 was falling behind. So opportunity there, but Ultimate Age 05 holds on to third, and now he's got a bit of distance to play with as well.
So last lap, last few corners into the stadium section once again. Great drive this from Semper. Semper, Mad Racer 38. And then this battle for third. But XC Mr. Bucket is running out of places to make this move stick. Mark Pretty from Adelaide, just 20 years of age, hails from Vale Park, and this has been his best race yet. One of the surprise names when he qualified inside the top 8 to make the showdown. And your race winner is going to be Semper. Bang, crosses the finish line and gets back on the board. That's a huge result given that he hemorrhaged some points earlier today, and it's his second race win. He picked up race 2 in round 1, so he's the reverse grid expert.
Seems to be his speciality, but it's great for Semper to rise up through the ranks. That'll give him some much-needed points after the start from today. We got to look at Mad Racer, though. Second, I don't know what happened there. He was due for a first, I think, but he's going to have to take second this time around.
The consistency of that guy is crazy. He hasn't been outside the top 2 yet, and just absolutely pumping the points away. What I love about this format, I do like the reverse grid part of it, but definitely the fact that the pit stop windows between lap 1 and the second last lap, we're seeing this sort of prolonged excitement that gets stretched out the whole way, and without tyre degradation working into it, it actually means that the race is on the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. You never know until the last lap who's going to win it, do you? You're trying to work it out, but really cool to see. Obviously disappointing for Harrow 5 winning the last one and then coming last in that one. Obviously had a big moment, so that was a little bit disappointing for him. But like you said, Mad Racer, keeping the consistency, keeping the championship going. He's doing a really good job.
The things there for me, yes, usual suspects on the podium, but XC Mr. Bucket, that's his best result. And TDI Zul's getting a top 5 as well. The Tasmanian working hard at this championship and picking up his best result. Unfortunately for Jacob Harvey, winner of race 4, all those points he just gained went flying up to second of the championship.
He got one of the best race time, lap times as well.
Yeah, so he's clearly got the car speed. But with a first and an 8th, remember race 3's combined points. So it might leave him somewhere around the mid-pack, maybe 4th or 5th at best.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said earlier, pretty much from 8th round here, from the start, if you're there, you can race from that. So I think you'll see him move forward. It was just a bit of a mistake out of the corner racing. You'll see him come through.
Good to see a couple of different results, 4th and 5th. We haven't seen that kind of speed from XC Mr. Bucket.
No, or TDI Zul in that matter as well. Like, I bring him up because I wanted to see him perform today. I think race number 1, 6th or 7th position. Now, finally in the second race, he's proven himself above names like Haro 05. And this is how you rise. This is how you get to the point where in the championship you become competitive and can take out that championship point.
Let's check out some of the replays of what was an exciting race 5. Boost Mobile highlights headed your way from the Hockenheim ring. Semper had the pole. He finished last earlier. Pretty aggressive entrance to be said down there at turn 1, but it did help him open up a pretty handy lead. That was the battle behind them for second at that point as well.
That was the biggest thing and biggest advantage for him because they all down the inside went holding 96. You know, it held up XC Mr. Bucket, and he did a good job to not turn in, let him go, and then do that. So Semper got fairly lucky on the first lap, but he drove awesome from there on.
And lucky there as well because he had a fair moment going through turn 1. He's certainly aggressive through turn 1.
Good at his recoveries though.
Big moment in the season, this one.
Yep.
Jacob Harvey on the outside, and almost like he thought the 7 was going to come across on him there.
Yeah, I think he didn't think he had as much room as he did, so probably shouldn't have opened it up as much, which was a big mistake. And,
he missed that one earlier.
Oh, we missed this one. So this is actually there was contact down there when we asked. So
how good was that from TDI Zul's? Just stayed out of it.
Was that Mr. Bucket again who just capitalised and just went through it?
That was TDI Zul's.
Might be a steward's hearing on that one.
I reckon. You'd probably cop it in real life for that one, but I think he tried to address that too. That was after the pit stop sequence. Semper swinging through, and this was the last lap. And no, there was no contact there.
Actually, Mr. Bucket tried on the outside. Good move, though. It's good to try it.
Props for having a crack.
Yeah, that's right.
He tried to send it, licked the stamp, but unfortunately got returned to sender on that occasion. And it was Semper who picked up race win number 2, looking pretty handy in those reverse grid races. So I think we saw more aggression than we had in any other race so far. And those big braking zones, probably the key to that.
That seems to be the way even on our race weekends. The first race, you're a bit cautious, and then you thought, oh, I got through that one, so I'll have a crack, and then it all goes down the second race, and then you settle down for the third race again. But it's been great to see how tight it is. They're all racing so tight together, so and not much contact. We saw a little bit more then, but it's been really good.
Matty Bink, 2 second places tonight, 2 wins last week, hasn't finished lower than second. He's clearly the form guy in the series so far.
There's no way at the moment you can get around this guy. Second, first. Like, at the moment, how do you beat someone who is so consistent when it doesn't matter what track you go on? I mean, we move on to one of the harder tracks next. And I'm curious, like, can this guy be stopped?
Well, he has to be off the pole as well, because surely he's got the most points so far tonight. Yep. The guys who have finished first have finished 8th in the other race.
Yeah.
And he's finished second and second. So it goes back to what we were saying earlier. When you're putting together an 18-round championship, 18-race championship, consistency is everything.
Yeah, you'll definitely see it, but it's a long championship. Anything can happen. We saw Harrow 05 then have a bad run. It could easily happen to Mad Racer 38 in a couple of races, and that just puts him right back into the fight. So, you know, early in the season, you never know. We saw this last year in the Supercars Championship. Yep. Scott McLaughlin did an awesome job, and the last round was just unfortunate for him. So it's a long championship. You never know what can happen.
It is never over until it's over. But let's check in with Semper right now. Andrew Dyson, can you hear us there, buddy?
Yeah, hey guys, how you going?
Hey, mate. Congratulations on the big win then. That was a fairly aggressive start. Turn 1, you were hitting that pretty hard.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to nail those cones and get them out of the way.
Definitely did that.
Mission accomplished. A couple laps later, you had a bit of a moment through Turn 1 as well, it looked like.
Yeah, so those curbs on the outside are pretty aggressive. They make your car float around a bit, I can tell you. But
yeah, it was a good save.
So it's all good.
Semper, what's your setup there? Because we've been talking a lot amongst ourselves on who's using simulation, who's using controller. What are you with at the moment?
I'm running a controller.
Okay.
Do you find a big difference?
Pardon me?
Do you find a big difference between the simulator and the controller?
Yeah, main differences are your finesse. So with the wheel, you can be quite you can finesse the car, like you can get it exactly where you want. With the controller, it can be a little more twitchy.
Yep.
But changing directions is a lot faster, and catching slides is a lot faster with the controller as well, obviously.
They're right.
Okay.
Well, there we saw that with the big slide going through Turn 1. Hey, what happened earlier at Silverstone tonight? You finished at the back of the pack.
Yeah, that was pretty disastrous, but that's probably about sums it up.
That's a quick, easy one.
Yep, fair enough.
Hey, did you put a lot of practice into this one?
Talk about that.
As we came to the second race, Semper, did you put a lot of practice into Hockenheimring, or were you just confident going in?
I ran a few laps, during the week. Probably not as many as I'd like. I didn't really want to overdo it and burn myself out. But still, I hope he's won't watch me the whole race, because it was a pretty average win.
Well, I've got bad news for you.
Still one more to go tonight. Hey, Andrew, congratulations, buddy. Well done, and good job on getting both pole awards so far.
No worries. Thanks, man.
All right, best of luck in race number 3. That'll be coming up very, very shortly. Off to Catalunya, Barcelona. It's the final race tonight. I hope you're enjoying the action. It's all thanks to Harvey Norman and Boost Mobile. It's the Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series. 1 race to go tonight. That's coming up shortly. But championship-wise, that really changes everything for these guys, because we're just seeing such crazy results. Winners are falling back to last and vice versa.
And the race right now is between, well, the race on the scoreboard at least, is between Semper and Mad Racer. Semper is finished there, even though he finished 8th in the first race. He was still up there, but now I expect second placement. Mad Race is still going to have about a 20-point gap at the moment. So those two definitely leading the charge. At the moment, it's anyone's games. Like you said, there's 18 races. There's no way we're going to find out who's winning in the first 2 weeks, but we're going to get a good idea who's probably going to have the top 3 podium finishes.
All right,
looking at this truck map in front of me, it's going to be pretty crazy the next race.
So.
Our race was crazy enough with 3 of us, let alone 8.
Just before we turn our attention to Catalunya, a quick look at the championship point score. And Mad Racer 38 really starting to clear out now. 24-point advantage. Semper back up to second. Haro 5 back to 4th. So they've literally just swapped spots. Ultimate Age 05 sitting pretty in 3rd spot at the moment. XE Mr. Bucket picks up a bag of points, and TDI Zulz picks up his best score of the season.
You got to be scared right now if you're someone like Superman, because TDI Zulz is starting to climb his way up in these races. Superman struggling a little bit, but still being able to maintain position. For someone like Holden 96 as well, falling back into that 8th and 7th position when he had a pretty good start is a little bit curious as well. So at the moment, it's anyone's game, but Mad Racer and Semper definitely fan favourites at the moment.
Got a lot of points to make up for. 20 points for Race Win Will, and he's already cleared out 24 points. So
Yeah, that's
big lead for 5 races.
That is a big lead. Like that's a very good job. So you know, you don't want to let him get too far ahead. Like I say, mistakes can be made, but that's a good lead. You know, I don't think you can DNF around here. You can't get stuck in. So you know, there's no DNF. So you know, it will be a lot harder to chase him than like for us. Sometimes you know you get a DNF, which drops you 20 points straight away. So it'll be a bit tougher. But a couple of eight positions will drop him down the leaderboard possibly.
Hope you're enjoying the action wherever you're watching from around the world. We have arrived at our third and final race of the night, and it's Catalunya. Famous circuit, opened in 1991. Famous for, obviously, Formula 1, but lots of sports car racing and MotoGP as well. Really long run from the grid up to the first corner. So I get the feeling, given the races we've seen so far, we're going to see a little bit of action up here at Turn 1. There should be some passing opportunities surely there, Will, under brakes, I'd say.
Definitely. Whereabouts are we?
We're at Catalunya, Will. Catalunya. Final race of the night.
Spain, I believe.
It's been
I don't even know which corner we're on right now.
We're in sunny Barcelona. If you're following along the track map, you are going up through Turn 3, up to Turn 4. Half a chance maybe up here at Repsol to get the move made. Again, this corner goes on a little bit longer than you think, so if you get on the throttle too early, you can fire off to the left-hand side pretty quick.
Definitely heading down to Turn 5. That's, again, pretty much another hairpin. Maybe not as tight, but a hairpin. So that's an opportunity to throw it up the inside, get the pass done.
You prove what can happen there if you overcook it a little bit early.
Yeah, that's right.
I just thought I'd remind you.
Remind me of the pass, yeah. So down into 7 again. Another bit fairly strong braking, so another good passing opportunity. But you want to get a good run up into Turn 9 because it looks quite flowing right through.
This is my favourite corner on the track, one of my favourite corners anywhere. It goes up over a mid-crest as well, really, really fast. Good exit, sets you up for a big run down here. One of the quickest parts of the track and a good passing opportunity as well.
Yeah, definitely a really good passing opportunity. Anywhere where you've got, you know, a long braking zone, you know, there's always passing opportunities down there, which we saw at the last event. So it'll be good to see. And we're running up through turn 12 here. So a bit off cambered. That's where you find, you know, you start sliding away on the exits. You'll see a few people drop wheels there possibly. You know, we saw Haro 5 on do that in the last race.
Yep, it's the F1 circuit. So you take this little chicane almost back to first gear through turns 14 and 15. It's a really fast last corner as well. Turn 16 onto the front straight. 4.6 kilometres, 16 turns. Very flowing, like Will said. Big, long radius corners. Usually where we see Formula 1 cars running around very quickly. But what are we going to see tonight for the final race, round 2, race 6? And remember, it's an allotment of points from here. It's going to see Maddie Bink off the front row. It's just been so consistent. Ultimate AJ5 has been running with the leaders as well. Haro 5 and Semper have been pretty consistent so far tonight as well. So what are we going to see out of this last race, guys?
I think the biggest thing at Barcelona here is look at from the start-finish line, look at the long run down into Turn 1. I think that'll be where, depending on who gets the better start, see who leads into Turn 1, and then from there, Turn 1's still a passing opportunity. But no, it'll be pretty cool to see.
Definitely feels like in this last race, we're going to see a lot more collisions. We're going to see so much damage coming through. There is no way that Mad Racer is going to fall out of top 3. I'm going to say it now, call it a prediction. The way he's been going is just insane. His name suits him so well. And even someone like Semper, who's been getting off to good starts, we'll see how he goes here as well.
All right, last race of the night. And let's go. Semper drops back in behind Mad Racer 38. Jacob Harvey will have the outside line. Here comes Adrian Yelpi. Oh, he's early on the brakes, and he's left himself vulnerable. Semper sticks it to the inside. They rub for a moment, but he's saved by the fact that Turn 2 is that long left-hander. He'll cover the right-hand side at Turn 4. Semper goes to the outside, actually leaves the door open. For Ultimate AJ5, they have a little bit of a rub, and this is pretty close.
Semper actually did a good job, then cut back for Turn 3. Oh!
That was a bit messy.
We said it was
going to be aggressive. I think that was where you saw the two teammates in F1 take each other
out,
wasn't it?
Yeah, the two Mercedes boys.
Nearly happened again.
Rosberg and Hamilton back in the
day. So
Turn
5 here is a good passing opportunity. Down to the left-hander.
Oh, gloves are off. He's going defensive early on, and he's copping it. They're boxing his ears in from all angles at the moment.
I think it's last race, win it or bin it, isn't it?
I think they also know how quick he is. If you give him a lead, he'll be hard to catch.
Oh, and he's locked. Big
Semper.
lock-up. Had a lock-up there.
Ultimate A just taking it over as well. Semper drops back into third. Mad Racer now building up a bit of distance here as well.
That was smart by Ultimate AJ5. Actually put the pressure on a few taps, letting him know he was there, and that's what we do. So he made the mistake, so really smart by him.
A few people running wide at Turn 9. Oh, late move down under brakes at Turn 10, and Haro 5 just barrels his way through.
What is going on? I said it was going to be bloody, but I didn't think it would be like this.
And Mad Racer 38 is clearing out as a result. Ultimate Age 05 slots into second. Good aggression on the opening lap last race.
It'll be surprising to see who pits early here as well. That'll be the big thing. But, you know, this is working out well for Mad Race 38. As we said, like the first couple laps, you want to get to the lead because then you want second and third to fight as is happening here.
Yep.
And that's what causes your gap and you get fresh air.
Haro 5, as he has done in the opening couple races today, electing to go for the early pit stop. So he'll be the leader out of those who pit on lap 1. Gets him out of what was a pretty frantic battle pack.
Yeah, definitely.
No one else pitted apart from Mr. Bucket as well. So it's just Haro 05 and Mr. Bucket jumping in first into that first lap. But back in third. Semper has dropped quite a bit after that corner. It's affected him a little bit here.
Well, it was a pretty frantic opening lap at Catalunya. Let's check out the Boost Mobile replay. And this is down at turn 7 and then going across turn 9. Big, big slide, and nearly Semper throwing it away down there. We go back to watching Semper. He sits third.
A little bit rough there.
Surprising to see, a little bit rough, but you know nobody got turned or spun out or anything.
Be happy, Will. You know, this is what you want to.
Yeah, I'm loving this race. It's really good to see. No one's causing too much damage, but they're rubbing panels, which is what racing should be all about.
Well, they got doors, and they're not afraid to use them.
Yeah, that's right.
Can they reel in Mad Racer 38? Man, he's having a good run. If Haro 5 can get some clean air, which he has, and put the good lap times in, he might be the one to watch.
Mr. Bucket as well has been able to climb up today. See if this third and final race does something well for him. For TDI Zulz and Superman, the last two there, as they did not take the pit stop on the first lap. For Mad Racer, he's built up some distance. But here the pack is growing again. It's TDI Zulz, Superman in front of them. I think it's Ultimate Age 05.
I think TDI Zulz has actually got some pretty good pace over Superman here. He seems to be pressuring the back of him and getting some good runs. So I think you might see a passing opportunity.
See if it happens. It was actually Semper there in the 4th position. Ultimate Age 05 in front of him.
Matty Collings, at the moment, we're checking him out as he goes past the pit entrance, decides to go around one more time from Adelaide. Qualified 7th in the opening round and picked up a best finish of 4th at Spa. So has the pace to run with the front guys.
If I was actually TDI Zulz, then I actually would have elected to pit. You're running around. You've got the pressure on the back of them. You know, you're getting held up. So anytime you get the opportunity that you feel like you're getting held up and you can't get the move done that lap, you dive into the pits, get some fresh air. Especially if none of the other guys in front of you do. You know, if Superman pits in front of you, pits in front of you, you don't go in.
I'm sure Superman would make him happy anyway.
Yeah, it probably does, doesn't it?
It's the only advantage you have of being the last car in a pack is seeing if anyone pits, and if they don't, capitalise on it, surely.
Yeah, definitely. We have that happen all the time in races. You know, if you're running 3rd, 4th, sometimes the engineer just says, you know, if the leader pits, you pit. So you can use that a lot to your advantage when you're running 2nd, 3rd, 4th to see what the guy in front of you does.
Interesting.
And in this case, it would have been if the leader doesn't pit, you pit.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
You want that clean air, and as a result, we're seeing a pretty good battle now between Superman and Holden 96. From Shepparton and Victoria, I haven't seen too much of Zach Donaldson yet, as he didn't race in the top 8 last year at Bathurst, the Harvey Norman Forza Challenge. He and XC Mr. Bucket are the 2 new names to our sort of, I guess, Supercars E-Series, but showing some good speed here and running with Matt Collings. And again, still that chance to pit this lap.
Opportunity to make a name for yourself here.
I think Superman definitely should pit this lap. That's, you know, he's getting held up there. I would definitely choose to pit this lap.
Riding on board with John O'Burrows right now from Ranelagh in Tasmania, which is southwest of Hobart. So he is right down the very, very, very bottom of Australia right now, if you're wondering. I hope you're enjoying the action wherever you're watching from around the world. And again, Superman going around and not pitting this lap.
It's great to see the onboard, see how many apexes they hit. I think they hit more than I hit in real life.
Definitely more than I hit. The competition is fierce in the Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series.
Moment Semper has worked his way into the pit. So interesting move there. He was coming 3rd. And decided now was the time, trying to get out of that deadlock.
Winner of race 2 and race 5 in the pit. And the race will be on between him and Haro 5. He should go swinging past the left-hand side at speed in about 2 or 3 seconds. Wait for it. There he goes.
Much quicker pit stop on on here, hey?
37 seconds we've got on our notes to go all the way through. We were giving that a bit of a test run earlier, and that's what 37 seconds looks like at full speed.
RO5 looking for the better race here. Just didn't make it in race number 5.
Yeah, got turned around, or didn't get turned around, but spun coming off that curb and was on at least for a good, well, he was fighting with XC Mr. Bucket at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah,
so he
that's
finished
right.
fourth.
Yeah,
I can empathise with that, yeah.
we had about a spin a lap earlier tonight, if you're wondering.
Yeah. More than that, actually.
So he's made, these guys on screen have already pitted, and Haro 5 is the first of those to have pitted. So the race will be on between Mad Racer 38, Ultimate Age 05, and then these guys.
I think once again it's going to come down to the last lap. I think a few of them are going to elect to pit on lap 9 and then come out for the last lap. So I think we won't know until late in the race who's going to slot back in around the 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
Yeah, I think you're right. That seems to be the strategy that they're playing to tonight, particularly Mad Racer 38. And why not? When you've got the clean air, as we go back to him right now, you'd make the most of it. Although, having said that,
as you say.
Yeah, he's all over him.
Yeah, he's closed down a lot here, and it's a long front straight, so a bit of slipstreaming opportunity. Down at turn 1, we could see him make a bit of a move down here.
I think Adrian Yalpi's tactic so far, looking at what we've seen over the last few races, is not pit for clean air, but maybe hysterics, sit behind someone and put the pressure on them.
Yeah, maybe. Questionable tactics, but I think, if you're confident in it, do whatever.
Well, if he can put the pressure on him here, he might make a mistake even.
Well, he's got the car speed, hasn't he? He just doesn't seem to have track position at any point tonight. I can't remember seeing a time when Ultimate Age 05 has had clean air.
The biggest thing when you're racing, and he's behind him right now, you don't get behind someone and think, I'm going to make a move here. You plan at corners and corners ahead. Corners and corners earlier.
Yeah.
So pretty much he'll be working out here where he might be able to make that passing opportunity, and he'll think about it half a lap ahead. So I think you'll see him try to get a good run and get it down the inside somewhere.
Turn 10. Surely will be that spot. We're coming up through turn 8. Turn 9 is the fast right-hander. And that's this corner right now. If he gets a good exit, he's close, but maybe not close enough to have a crack down to the bottom at turn 10.
He's closing down in the slipstream, though, and it's quite a tight corner.
Under brakes, back to second gear, not quite.
Still right on him, though, for Ultimate Age 05. This is the performance to finish off the night. He's got a bit of distance between him and Holden 96. But for Mad Racer, a first here would definitely propel him forward. Lap 5 of 10. And Ultimate Age as well. This will push him up in the standings for the 2nd week.
Now, again, is he getting held up here? Pit entrance is coming up. It'll be on the right-hand side now. Yes, he comes in.
The pit.
So the fight will be between he and Haro 5. And Haro 5 will be going through about turn 10 at the moment, I'd reckon. So it'll be pretty tight.
Holden went in the pit as well, as a side note there. As we go on to lap 6 of 10. So Holden will drop back with Ultimate Age 05. There's TDI Zulz who's creeping up now. Not sure if TDI Zulz has made the pit stop just yet.
Okay, this is the fight. This is what we want to watch. Haro 5, Jacob Harvey, winner of race 4. And this will be tight between he and Ultimate Age 05, who'll be coming out of the pits right about now. This will be tight. How quick was that in lap for Ultimate Age 05? Got him. Cruise by.
He'll actually fall behind even further.
Wow, so that's quite big, isn't it? Lost a lot of time.
We might actually see Mad Race. Coming from that, you're going to find Mad Race is not going to come out in front here. I think Haro 05's got the lead here, and I think Mad Race is even going to pop in behind Semper as well.
Looking at that, I think you're right. So that was a big change. Actually, looking on timing, we've got Ultimate Age 05 ahead of these guys. So that might have been someone else pitting.
I think it was Holden 96 maybe we're looking at.
Okay, we might,
that would make sense.
Re-entry.
Ultimate Age 05 on timing at least, showing up to be in 3rd right now.
All right.
Very, very close at the moment.
Last lap. Excuse me, last race. Getting ahead of myself, getting too excited. Got many more laps to go, but
thought it must have gone time certain for a second there.
That explains it. So Ultimate Age 05 just ahead of Haro 5. Now, when we go through the next pit stops then for the race leader, I imagine it'll be pretty close between these two.
It's actually going to be extremely close between Mad Racer because the pit stops, we're riding on board with Ultimate Age 05. So he was right on his bumper. He pitted in early. So I think you're going to find when Mad Racer pops out, it's going to be a 3-way dogfight to the finish line of the last race.
Okay, so Mad Racer 38 leading the last race of the night. Still a few laps to go. That pit stop still to come.
Data hungry? Get up to 30 gigs with every recharge, plus unlimited calls and texts. Now with Data Rollover, all on Australia's biggest mobile network.
Hey Scotty, who should I choose as New Zealand's new favourite driver?
It has to be someone fast, Murph.
It's nail-biting time. Here comes McLaughlin down the inside. Oh, the grass, very close.
Stay loyal to the Holdens, Murph.
If you're going to pick up a victory, this is the place to do it, the Shane Van Gisbergen.
Let's set the Kiwi race fans aside when the boys are back at Pukekohe.
The ITM Auckland Super Sprint, November 2 to 4. Book now at Ticketek and get your heart racing.
Game like the pros, now at Harvey Norman, your home of the great gaming deals. We have the best brands at the best prices, like Predator, Republic of Gamers, Omen, MSI. Hurry in for Predator desktops from only $26.98, Predator laptops from only $24.96, ROG laptops from only $22.96, and MSI laptops from only $18.97. Game like the pros, now at Harvey Norman, in store and online.
Data hungry? Get up to 30 gigs with every recharge, plus unlimited calls and texts. Now with Data Rollover, all on Australia's biggest mobile network.
It is the last race of round 2, Catalunya, and there's still a long way to go, and the leader is still to pit, but there has been a small change. Haro 5, a small mistake, and has dropped some spots, so a rare error. And it's almost frustration because he's given us the quickest lap of the race with a 1:51. So a small slide off the track for Jacob Harvey. Let's check it out on the Boost Mobile replay. Watching the background, looking back from Adrian Yalpi. Oh, it's coming onto the front straight.
The problem with that, coming onto the front straight, long straight here. So you just lose tenths and tenths the whole way down. So you probably would have found he's actually lost about a second or two out of that.
It's cost him, and he's dropped back behind Semper, but he's got a much better entrance onto the front straight. In the slipstream, chance here for the move. Will Semper block? Will he move over to the right-hand side? Will he leave the door open? Just about close enough. Gee, Semper's late on the brakes. So winner of the last 2 races tonight squaring off. Trying to get the switch back. Semper moves over on him.
He'll actually cut back here if that'll be his plan, to cut back on the inside here, get a good run out of 4, and then have the inside down for 5.
Nice, good racecraft. He's got the overlap just about. He'll go late on the brakes down at turn 4. Good respect shown from the two of them. Good racing room. And it's a long, long, long corner, so he might just be through, or is there? Overlap again. Semper has the inside line down at turn number 5. Good scrap. Again, he tries the over-under, but can't quite make it stick. Semper lights up the rear tyres. This is the fight potentially for 3rd spot after the pit stops have been served.
Since Haro 5 in race number 2, or sorry, race number 5 of today, the spin out cost him 8th position. It's good to see he's still in a position to contest, and make his way back up to the podium.
This has been one of the best scraps of the night.
Definitely. The biggest thing for this, it's going to help Mad Racer 38.
Yep.
They're battling, slowing each other down. He's just out in fresh air, cruising around. He'll pit and pop out in front of them if they keep this up.
Well, it's massively taken the pressure away from Ultimate Age 05 as well. We are looking on the right-hand side at Mad Racer 38. Has not finished lower than 2nd. And I dare say, looking at this, that's going to continue. Also looks like TDI Zulz is serving his pit stop. Was sitting 2nd and will drop back behind this pack. Where will he fall back out into?
If he can maintain at least 3rd or 4th, then TDI Zulz will have a better performance here today. Will be able to climb his way up and get out of that 8th position after week number 1. It's all about points. It's all about placement. And here in this final race, it's going to make you a legend if you can climb your way back up.
It's great to see the respect being shown between Semper and Haro 5 here. You know, they're racing hard. They're touching doors a little bit, but there's not too much aggression or, you know, big moves being shown. So it's really good to see.
And again, they square off. This has been going on for an entire lap. One of the best battles, definitely, of this Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series so far. Can Harvey do the same move? Trying to set him up, coming out of turn 3. He's just going to go around the outside now. He made this move stick at Bathurst, or tried anyway, to go around the outside. Not quite. Tries the over-under. He's got some pretty good racecraft.
Definitely has. The problem with coming out of here, you're coming down to turn 5. So Semper's got the inside again, but you know, if he can get the switch back, he can get the run out of turn 6.
How good is this from our 2 race winners tonight? He gives him room on the outside. What a scrap. Side by side all the way through turn 6. Up towards turn 7. He's still there. Can't clear him.
He's got the inside now, though.
Still, they're being very gentlemanly, giving each other plenty of racing room. Across turn 9. Should be Haro 5. Gets him. And, man, this has been going on now for a lap and a half. They were pretty much side by side for the whole thing. Your race leader is in the pits. And still this battle goes on. Tries the outside down at turn 10. Good scrap.
And I think we worked out here 37 seconds in the pit lane. Was that right?
Yep.
So 37 seconds. It'll be surprising to see where he gets out.
All right. The battle is on right now. Coming up the top of the circuit.
Forgot him for a second there.
I know. He's out of the pit bay now. And
I think he might be all right.
Back into the fast lane. He should be okay here. Ultimate Age 05 now onto the front straight. Will he pop out where Ultimate Age 05 is? Starting the last lap now of what's been a pretty good night in the Boost Mobile Supercars E-Series. Good, exciting racing so far. The fight for the lead is on. Where's Ultimate Age 05? Is he close enough down at turn 1? Wow, he's pretty close.
This will be a great last lap. He's if he can get the run through here.
We've got a fight for first and a fight for third. Scrapping all the way down the podium. Turn 3.
That scrap's going to continue through that top 4. Ultimate Age 05, Haro 05, Semper. And don't forget Mad Racer in that first position. Any of them are not safe at this point. And top 3 still contested.
Oh, Adrian Yalpi late at the brakes at turn 4. Closed up quite a lot. Remember, Matt Bink has been driving pretty much solo for the entire race. Hasn't seen anyone
that's right.
quite some time.
Decided to do the late pit again.
These two were that close before the pit stops, weren't they? Remember?
They were, and we actually saw Ultimate Age 05 close up onto the back of him. So if we can see him do this early in this lap, he could put the pressure on, possibly make him make a mistake.
They were separated for at least 5 laps and 50 metres of road in that time. Pretty incredible. Shows you how close these guys are and how used to racing each other they are as well. Hence the respect shown for that battle for third. Fight for the lead, half a lap to go, and maybe the last passing opportunity down here at turn 10. He's not close enough.
Ooh. Cutting it close there.
Mad Racer's just got that little bit of a gap. If he can, not make any mistakes, I think he'll bring it home. And we've seen in all the other races, he's got pretty good racecraft and can keep his cool when the pressure's on. So I'd be surprised if he makes any mistakes in the dying stages.
If he gets first here as well, this is going to set him up. He'll have a 30 to maybe 40-point lead. So for a second week, it's not half bad.
Last chance for Yalpi, last corner. It's exactly what we saw at Bathurst in race 3 of round 1. These two squaring off, and Mad Racer 38. What a season he's having so far. 3 wins and 3 seconds. He is the 4-man, and he extends his championship lead in the European leg. Big drive, and this 20-minute race went right down to the wire. Congratulations to first place tonight. Mad Racer 38, Matty Bink. What a run he's having in this championship so far, and very, very close for that fight for third as well. Between Haro 5 and Semper. That went all the way down to the checkered flag as well. That was good stuff.
Oh, man. What a performance. Our top 4, I think, showcasing massively there. And Haro 05 to take 10, like a heartbreaker. I think Haro has to be happy. Jacob Harvey, has to be happy with how he finished tonight.
How about that, Will? I mean, we saw him lay down 3 pretty consistent races, and that was the best of them. Picks up his 3rd race win of the year, but pushed all the way by Ultimate Age 05. It
was exciting to watch. All the racing the whole night was really close, and battles went down to the last lap and really tight between the top 4. So, no, it was really cool to see.
We had 2 races tonight separated by 0.4 of a second. In a 20-minute race, that's pretty good.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even see that in the supercars, so that's pretty cool.
Absolutely tight all the way through the field. TDI Zul's wrapping up the 8 drivers. Holden 96 picks up a top 5. Semper, he finished, 8th, 1st and 4th tonight. Haro 5, 1st, 8th and 5th. Ultimate Age 05, a pair of 2nds and a 4th. Mad Racer 38, man, he's good. 2 2nds and a 1st. That's a pretty dominant night.
Oh, it is. And like we said, he's going to be so far ahead of everyone else. And after week 2, you're going to see Mad Racer, everyone else. I think Semper will be up there as well. I think Ultimate Age has done well for himself tonight as well. He's kind of gone above and beyond Jacob Harvey.
Well, we've got him on the line right now. Can you hear us there, Matty? That was an amazing drive, mate. Well done.
Oh, cheers. Thanks for that. It was very tough. I think having Adrian behind me is starting to get a bit tiring. Down soon.
Work to sweat up.
There was
Yeah, we've had a lot of great battles over the past couple of years in our series elsewhere, so we're pretty good with each other and know what we're going to do. But yeah, he had the pressure on in those last 2 races.
We're just looking at the highlights right now. Pretty frantic start. You managed to get a good lead down to turn 1, but everyone kind of ganged up on you in that first lap.
Yeah, it was a rough start. I think Andrew got into the back of me coming up out of turn 3, so it was all over the shot there, and then we all boxed together a bit, but I was able to get a little bit of a gap early on, which really helped trying to hold off Adrian.
Hey, Matty, I want to talk to you about your pit stops tonight because they've been very strategic and they've been very tactical, and we were discussing it amongst ourselves. What is your tactic of when you take your pit stop or where?
If I've got clear track in front of me or somebody that I think's a little bit faster and I can sort of learn off them over the race, I'll stay out. If I feel like I can go quicker than the person around me, I'll pit just for that clear space and undercut them.
The last few laps, or the last few races, we've seen you leave it pretty much to the last lap as well. So when you do take the lead and you try and maximise that clean air, is that right?
Yeah, so far so good with that. I get a clean air and I set my best lap, so I got a bit lucky there. One mistake and I dropped 4 or 5 spots, so it's a bit of a risk, but yeah.
It's probably a question we need to ask your friend Adrian, but were you expecting him to pit because he's been stuck behind you a few times tonight?
I definitely expected him to try something because in the last race at Hockenheim, it was like having a caravan. He just stuck to the back of it. But, this one, he had to give it a go, try and win it. So.
And Matty, one last question for you. How do you relate this to racing in real life? Because you've got such a crossover of the two, and I think you've got a very unique situation. So how does that work into your racing tonight?
The strategy side certainly helps in trying to hold position and that sort of things, but luckily enough for the most part in the XLs we don't have pit stops, so it's all just out and out racing. You just got to find your way past people, whereas this you can throw in a bit of strategy and work your way past people that way.
Nice work, Matty. Finally, we've got Will Brown on the desk tonight. You may be aware, obviously, you're a big Erebus fan as well as your good buddy Jacob Harvey. Have you enjoyed watching Will Brown in the Erebus colours this year?
Yes, it was fantastic. Put in a great performance at Bathurst, mate. It's awesome. I think you got a big future in supercars, that's for sure.
Thank you for that. Hope the XL and everything's going well. And I hear the boys, you're hoping to one day drive at Bathurst. So if you could jump in an 86 or something like that, that'd be really cool.
Oh, if I could, I would. I'd jump on it. CPUs, 86s, anything.
Yeah, that's it. I'd drive anything I could get in as well.
Well done tonight, Matty.
Right.
You haven't finished lower than second in the championship, mate, so best of luck next week keeping that form going.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
All right, Matty is of age from Newborough, which is just east of Melbourne, near a place called Moe, which is the home of Jason Bright, if you're wondering. So clearly, he's got a bit of racing heritage in him, trying to get a few more miles in the real racing world as well. Probably would only help him when it comes back to doing this sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's a little bit different. We feel everything. We're not as much through this, but laps, as they said before, is what is key. So I think I'll go down, buy some Forza, and get into it and start my practice.
He said he uses the strategy side, which is really big. Which is, it's great that he can relate that and work towards his real racing too. At both of them.
Well, he's extended his championship lead tonight, so let's have a look at exactly how big that lead is. And, oh boy, it's seriously starting to blow out. It was 24 points going into that one. It's now 30, and Ultimate Age 05 has moved up into second. We had 3 different people in second place tonight.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? But it's, as you said before, 30 points is a lot. You can't get a DNF in this, where, back when we stuff like that, 20 points, you're like, it's not too bad. That's going to be a hard championship lead. He just keeps finishing one or two. He's keeping it consistent. I think that's what will give him the champion.
It's between 1st and 8th here as well. So first here, TDI Zul's moving for our future races. He needs finishes only to make even that top.
Well, if you like what you saw tonight, then you can be a part of Forza Motorsport 7 and join the Cup Wednesday night off the back of the championship on Tuesdays. Prizes up for grabs thanks to Harvey Norman. If you're that we're just watching but want to have a crack and feel that edge of competition, way to do it. And I think tomorrow night, guys, after what we've just seen, we should see some pretty good racing online.
I'd hope so, because after what we did is no way, there is no one else who cannot beat us or can, you know, stamp their authority on the competition.
How good the actual racing was.
Yeah, definitely. I said that to you guys when we were. They're not like spinning each other out. They're not doing anything like that, but they're racing really hard. So.
Well, thanks for being a part of the action tonight, mate. Well done on Sandown, Bathurst and the Gold Coast, and hopefully we get to see you back on.
Then there's just me. Thanks, Jack.
Next week, Simona Di Silvestro here in the studio, which will be very week 3 American tracks that Simona should have plenty of days. So that'll be round 3. Congrats on that championship lead. We'll see you next week.